Press start.
All right, let's start episode 175 of the Current Gen podcast. Do I have that number right? Yeah, it's 175, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
Yes.
There's only three of us at the moment, although Derek might join us. Dan is out. He's got some Final Fantasying and apparently friending to do, whatever that means.
At a time like this.
What's a friend?
Who does that?
Now Dan's out this week, and I think Derek will join us here in a little bit. And Kyle and Jeff are here. How's it going, fellas?
Hello. Hello. I am also hello.
I've got my Coke Zero, brought to you by Coke Zero yet again.
I got my redone Zevia bottle or can.
Caffeinated tea. That's what I have.
Decaf tea?
No, caffeinated.
Oh, caffeinated.
I've been up all day, so I'm tired.
Extra caffeine. I've been up all day.
This will give me a kick in the butt.
I know what you mean because your schedule is crazy, but it is a funny sentence to say. I've been up all day. It's like, yeah, that's what people usually do. They're usually up all day and they're sleeping all night.
Right.
But that's not your schedule. I realize that.
Right.
All right. Well, there's not a ton of new stuff to talk about, but we'll go over a few things that have come out this past week. It was a holiday week, so things are pretty slow, pretty much on all entertainment fronts. Everything just kind of slowed down a bit, it seemed, in terms of like major releases, at least.
We got the next coming 2 weeks are major release central.
It picks up
movie-wise.
Quick, man. Yeah. We've
Yeah.
got two of the biggest releases with Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible both hitting over the next 2 weeks.
Three, sir. How dare you?
Is it 3 weeks? When's Oppenheimer?
No, you're totally.
I'm not going to talk about Barbie. I'm not talking about Barbie.
How dare you?
Barbie's not included. Barbie's not included. Wait, what is it that Barbie would say? It would always say something not included. I just realized that. Like I just almost said a
clothes not included. I don't know.
It's close enough. You're right there.
It might be that. Yeah, of course.
We call it everybody on like film Twitter, whatever you want to call it. All the movie buff sections of the internet are just calling it Barbenheimer Day because
Barbenheimer.
Those two releases, such gigantic casts releasing on the same day is just so unheard of.
That's pretty good though. I like that.
Yeah, and there's posters of like, Barbie's face split with Cillian Murphy's face, Oppenheimer's face. It's so funny.
Well, what I thought we'd do this time is there's only a handful of headlines, not a ton of news came out this week, at least not that was notable. So we'll go over those things first, especially because Derek's not here. That's usually when we tend to lose him anyways, when we talk about news. So we'll go over those things first.
We know our boy. We know our boy well.
And then we'll just mix together anything that's new or other stuff you're playing, and then we'll wrap things up with kind of a Game of the Year watch kind of thing. How are we looking in 2023? And we'll go over how you want to represent that for yourself. Like, you don't have to have a ranked list. Like, I know Derek really wants to have one. That's totally cool. I just don't feel like I've got a good grasp on the first half of the year yet to really rank it. Like, I've played a good amount, have not finished everything I wanted to. So I don't really have a ranked list yet, but I do have like my contenders. I've got a short list of contenders that are like certainly vying for that spot. If you were to tell me right now, pick your Game of the Year, I truly don't know which game I would pick. Like I actually don't know.
About that.
Yeah, because there's a lot. There's probably 6 that I'd be like, man, that could win. Yeah, that could win. Like I'm not kidding. Like I know people, they would look back at 2017 and be like, yeah, right, you're a Zelda kid. Like, yeah, I loved Breath of the Wild, but Tears of the Kingdom. We'll get to it, but it just hasn't captured me in the same way yet because I haven't given it enough time. So like, how do I just pretend like, well, I'm gonna love it the same amount? I don't know. Maybe I will, but maybe it'll be third this year because of the other insane games that are on the calendar. So who knows, man?
We still have a Spider-Man game coming out.
We still have a Spider-Man game coming out.
Yeah, guys. Yeah,
what?
Right. Guys, we have a Yakuza game coming out,
Dude,
like, come
Yakuza,
on, right, guys?
Yes.
You guys, right?
Yeah, you're talking to the right people about it.
Yep. So that's why I kind of thought I thought first, hey, let's do a ranking, and then I was like, you know what? I don't even know what I don't want to stress myself out trying to rank these yet. I can't do it yet. So
I want to have some hard talks with myself.
I went ahead and did it because I omitted some games that you guys have played that I obviously
that's fair.
Not.
Yeah,
so,
like some
it was
people
a little
kind of have it ready. Yep,
yeah,
totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. But let's go over some news first. I did see that Microsoft, after raising Game Pass prices, did bring back its $1 trial offer, which was pretty appealing to a lot of folks. So, of course, we know that they raised their prices. You guys are probably aware of this. They just went up this past week. So, just Game Pass for console went from $9.99. It's just up $1 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
$10.99.
I was like, why did I not sweat this like at all? Oh, because it's $1. Yeah.
Because it's $1 a month.
Right before Starfield, I just want to point that out.
Right before Starfield.
The super smart.
ultimate price, which includes console and PC, which is what I subscribe to. Was $15 a month. Now that one actually went up $2. That's $14.99 up to $16.99.
That's okay.
And then PC.
I think you get EA or something with that too.
EA with that too.
You do. Yep. And then PC Game Pass just stayed the same at $10 a month. So
that's still really good.
Yeah, the idea is that existing Gold or Game Pass subscribers and new subscribers can use the trial offer to upgrade to Game Pass Ultimate, then carry over any prepaid membership at the current conversion ratio up to 36 months. So the idea, and I remember guys like Dan Phillips and Jesse White and others in the group talking about how they would go in here, they sign up, use the trial, and then they can kind of make it, like, help it save them a ton of money over a long period of time. So if that's something you want to do, go give it a whirl. This is, to me, it's kind of like subscribing to a streaming service, and I use Game Pass a lot still. So when I stop using it, I will pause my subscription and then resubscribe when I need to, like I've done with other stuff. I've subscribed to Ubisoft before just to play a new Ubisoft game, like Far Cry 6, and then I get rid of it when I don't have anything new Ubisoft. So anyway.
I feel like Game Pass for me is one of those forever subscriptions, kind of like it's illogical, but kind of like with Netflix or whatever, where I'm like, no, I'll never unsub from that.
There's always something.
Just in case I feel like, playing one of those.
There's always something. I don't think that price increase for Game Pass is a huge deal. I know, especially people who are anti-Microsoft and hate Xbox, they love to like wave the flag about this thing. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. If anything, I kind of like that their tiers, as they were, make sense. It's all platform based, so you're either just console, just PC, or both. It's not a matter of like you get access to different tiers of games if you pay a little more. Like that to me on the Sony platform is still a little confusing. I still don't like that.
I agree. Very convoluted.
Yeah. So anyway, Derek is here. What's up, Derek?
Hey.
So do you care about Game Pass prices going up? It's one of the things we're talking about. Is that something that bothers you at all? Or are you just going to keep subscribing? You wouldn't have noticed if I didn't tell you about it.
I mean, it's poor pass. I don't deal with poor things. So it's not an issue for me.
He bought Red Bull 3 times.
Non-issue.
That's the response I was looking for, actually. So thank you for that.
Now we're podcasting.
Now this is podcasting.
Wasn't there a meme or it was probably a tweet, because of course it was, that was like, you know what they call a congregation of 4 white guys a podcast or whatever, kind of like, you would call a group of crows a murder, or whatever you would call 4 white guys together a podcast.
That's funny. Yeah.
That's really funny. But how dare you?
Inaccurate.
How dare you also? But that's really funny. But how dare you?
Just a couple of dudes messing around. You know me, I like to censor it. I can't say what Sasso says.
I got it though. Yeah.
You're with me.
I get it now.
I've been dudesing so much.
He's been
Dramana.
So he
doesn't laugh for so long.
So when you talk about your Tronics, you're like, my stuff's all messed up. That's what you say.
My stuff.
That's what I say.
My stuff's messed up.
My stuff's messed up. Yeah, dude, his Tronics are the best.
Don't
anyway, Eric,
do anything.
Will Sasso, you would love him, dude. All right. Diablo 4 Season 1, the Season of the Malignant, has been revealed. Huh? I'm good. I was just being silly. My son's checking on me.
It's like, my dad doesn't normally do like an evil laugh.
Scream about tequila or vodka, whatever it is.
He was holding a Charizard, like stuffed animal or whatever. They're getting ready to head down to bed, and he kind of pokes his head and he goes, "Are you okay?" Like, yeah.
You should have just said, my stuff's all messed up. Don't worry about it.
Stuff's all messed up.
I just got to not do anything. And,
if you guys are watching or listening to this, Dudesy is one of the most entertaining shows. You have to go check it out.
There's very few pure comedy podcasts out there that nail it like this one does.
It makes me really want an AI that I could purchase or subscribe to that would run our show. I feel like it'd be so fun. Like after
I'd subscribe to that so quick. Yeah.
Oh, I would love it so much. Anyway, but that's not what we have. We have boring humans running our show. Diablo 4 Season 1, the Season of the Malignant, has been revealed. I mean, we already knew that seasons were coming, but this kind of like official reveal of the title of it and the details on July 20th. So that's from when we're recording on the 8th. That is 12 days from now. It has. This is where I feel overwhelmed as a non-Diablo player. 90 tiers, which includes 27 free ones and 63 premium ones. If you've purchased the Deluxe or Ultimate Edition, you can redeem your free Battle Pass when the season begins. You can skip tiers on the Battle Pass, which costs 20 platinum per tier skip. See, I'm already kind of like, this is a lot.
Yeah, I'm confused too, but I think I'll just need to see it. I'll just need to see it. Yeah.
I get the feeling it's just like go play a whole lot more of Diablo 4 and get a whole bunch of more cool stuff.
Yeah, but there's new content and stuff like that you get to go through.
That's awesome.
But
play new content.
I'm a little fuzzy on like how battle passes work because it's just not really a thing that I do. So
apparently, to participate, and you have to make a new character. We talked about that already, and some people are upset about it, but I guess it does make sense if you think about how they're rolling out their seasons. So you do need a new character. You do have to have finished the main campaign with some character before you have access to it.
Yeah.
You don't need to purchase a battle pass or any add-ons to play seasonal content, but you have to have completed the campaign with at least one character. Let's see. You get several perks when you start it. So you skip the campaign, the seasonal characters skip the campaign entirely, but they have instant access to things like a mount, which I guess is a late game thing that you get.
It's after Act 3,
Act 4. Yeah.
Okay, so you start with the mount right away, which is cool.
Yeah,
and then you get
like, especially when those of us that get wrapped up in side quests, it's like, oh my god, where's my mount? And then it's like halfway through the game, you're like, oh, there it is. Oh my god.
So now you have a new tier of enemies. So I imagine you're going to see tougher versions of enemies you fought before. They're called malignant monsters. And that's part of season 1. These are decaying abominations that roam Sanctuary in a frenzy. So there you go. There's season 1 coming out here pretty soon. I have no doubt you guys will be playing it.
Yeah.
Love that game.
Kyle and I will be jumping back in. We're both kind of breaking right now because of Final Fantasy, but I feel like having a date as to when the season comes out is like a good time to be like, yeah, that's a good time to just
I knew a new character
in,
role was coming, so I'm like, well, I'm not gonna stop grinding this one. It doesn't make any sense to
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'm content being 62 or whatever I left off on and being like, okay, that's good for that character.
There'll be an expansion at some point, Yeah. Let me grind a bit for that expansion.
How many expansions do the Diablo games get usually? How many?
I think like 2 or 3. I forget exactly. I think it might have just been 2, but
okay, cool.
I think it was Nightmare and
I
Necromancer.
could see this one getting more because I think they're really diving into the seasonal content and live service aspect of it.
Right.
So I could see them trying to maybe, not saying they'll do this, but think about it. Like Diablo 3 came out, 7-8 years ago? I wouldn't be surprised if they were going to try to make this game stay alive for 7 or 8 years, kind of like Destiny 2.
Yeah.
So I think they're going the Destiny route. So I think we're going to see a rollout where you could potentially get a huge expansion every year.
Diablo 3
did 30
not every year,
years.
But that'd be awesome. That would be, if that's the case, I'm in.
Like if they did it like Destiny 2, it would be every year. So I think that'd be cool if they could do that and charge you like $40 for it, and then if you want the super ultra edition, it would be 60 to 100. But I could see them doing that, like trying to really keep this game alive and go.
I mean, we are still talking about Blizzard after all. They do have the practices of like being like trying to maximize their profits any way they can.
I just feel like
I'm content with that with a game like this. I mean, this is a great game. So
this totally feels like Destiny 2, but the melee version of it.
I just remember Destiny being brought up a lot by the devs whenever they were comparing it like to things that exist, So I maybe their philosophies are taking more from that type of model as well. I'm here for it. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
I would support it.
A couple Nintendo things. Nintendo Switch reportedly had its best ever June sales in Japan, which makes sense. Legend of Zelda just came out, and so it's not that
people
surprising.
cared about that game.
I guess. Yeah, I guess so. That's a pretty big deal. Also, Mario 8 Deluxe's Booster Course Wave 5 DLC, that is a lot, launches next week. So for some reason, I thought that was like later, but that's coming out.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be August because they didn't put a date on it.
Is this the last one, or is it going
second
through
to last
the year?
one.
Yeah, there's 6 total, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got this one and then one more.
I'm excited. I had let a few of them build up, but I went back and played through all the courses and tried a bunch of new characters, and I was like, gosh, this is just like the perfect Mario Kart game. Like they don't need to make Mario Kart 9. I know they will. I know they will at some point, but like
I would imagine it would be like something closer to a launch title for the next whatever console comes out, because
honestly they might reimagine what Mario Kart is and do something totally different.
True.
Man, I wish they would come out with like a Double Dash 2.
That'd be fun.
That's what I wish. I
could play Double Dash.
If they wanted to just keep on building off of 8 and they just did the Double Dash expansion and we just bought $30 or $40, and then they just added Double Dash like to the game or whatever.
What you're saying right now. I like the
words
that you're using right now.
Like a Bowser's Fury situation.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It still launches.
I could totally
Mario
see
Kart
them
8.
remaking Mario Kart 8 just for the next console too, because it's not like it's ugly or unplayable. So
Mario Kart 8 Double Deluxe.
They say the same thing about Smash Brothers too, where it's like they just made the game where every character ever was in it. So like, how would you ever make another one?
Yeah, what's next?
You just ship that one again, right?
You would have to. You would really have to change the way the game plays.
You'd have to change everything.
You have to reinvent it. Yeah, you can't make Smash Brothers Ultimate +1, like a little bit better than the last.
Ultimate. Yeah.
But that's cool. So much good content on that Mario Kart 8 game. There's just so much to play through there. And then Super Mario Brothers movie. We know that's been on streaming and available to purchase for a while. I think the physical version comes out this month. But then it's going to be on Peacock on August 3rd.
Oh, that makes sense.
I think the physical's out already.
Is it out now? Okay. I knew it was coming out in July. I don't remember when.
I was just waiting for it to be a little cheaper. 4K Blu-rays are a bit expensive.
Yeah, well, they can be. I got like Inception and Heat together for like $12 the other day. I was like, how did this happen? How did this slip through the cracks? It felt like I was
those Amazon deals here next week.
It's those Amazon deals.
4K Blu-rays always going.
Right.
That's right. I wait for I wait for the deals, and I usually get my movies on average like 4K Blu-ray. I usually pay no more than 10 to 15.
I have a Series X now, so I can actually watch 4K. So I'm going to start collecting physical media again.
It's pretty mind-blowing, especially because on our TVs.
I know it makes a difference.
Is like not looking as good
such
nowadays.
A huge difference.
I got mad whenever I had to step away from physical media because I couldn't again get a PS5 that had a disc tray, so that I just got me out of the disc game, So I'm ready to spend some big money.
I'm rebuilding mine too because I had to get a set. I wanted to get a separate Blu-ray player that solely focuses on discs for that because I don't really like mixing consoles and discs and what they do functionally. I don't know why. It's just a me thing. Whatever. I don't want it to be like multiple troubleshooting points. Like if it doesn't work, then I have to be like, well, which part of it doesn't work? Is it the Blu-ray part or is it the game part? Then I have to think about things that way. And I'm just like, screw it, I'll just get my own, whatever. They're not that expensive.
Pro segregation. You heard it here first.
Yes, I am. Keep everything segregated all the time across the entire
everything.
All
of it.
What do you call 4 racists doing a podcast?
Podcasting. Yeah, that's right.
That's
a callback, dude.
Anyway, all that to say, I am enjoying rebuilding my entire Blu-ray collection. I already have a Blu-ray collection, but this one is obviously like the 4K quality.
Okay, cool.
I highly recommend watching the Lord of the Rings movies on Blu-ray disc on your OLED TV. It's great.
I gotta get that.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
It's great. It's a pretty penny, but it's worth it.
So, that was a little bit of a rabbit trail, but an OLED TV, let's say like a 50 to 60 inch screen, what would that run these days? Like a good one?
You can get them on sale, like a 55 inch. You can get it for around. You gotta wait for a sale. You can get the LG for probably $1,000.
I saw one at 45. At 45 inches for $600 at Best Buy. The same one Jeff and I had.
Well, that's a really good deal.
Yeah, and our version
is the lowest I've ever seen it go, but it is a smaller TV. It's a 45.
Yeah, that and it's an older. Our version is smaller. Is a lower.
Good bedroom TV, now, not the best living room TV. Like living room 55 is probably the smallest.
I mean, if I was you, Tim, like if you like your current setup but just want something for you, I would go like the 42 inch 45 inch and just make it your monitor. Like I use my I have a 48 inch OLED. I know that sounds big for a monitor. It's not. Anything bigger than 48 inch, because I tried 55 inch, way too big.
You're kind of like looking around like this to see everything.
Yeah, 48 inch is too big if you're a professional first person shooter gamer, but you're not. It's just perfect for like all gaming, like for people like us.
Nice. Yeah, I might do some like when we get to the holiday Black Friday season. That's always a good time to look for some.
Be so cheap, man.
Oh my gosh,
that's another 6 months from now.
I could see myself. I could see myself doing a little treat yourself with a OLED screen. Just
hit me up when you start to look, and I'm pretty good about like finding the best deal, and I'll just send you a bunch of options, and then you just buy what you want.
I would definitely go with whatever the current. Kyle and I have a CX. That's a 2020 model. It's still great. Don't get me wrong, but like you'll definitely want to go with the current version, which was probably running the same price that Kyle and I got ours. which is like on a sale, I should say, which would probably be like $1,200, $1,500.
I just want to elbow some other.
That's how much mine was. I got a bigger one
on Black. Yeah. I just want a Black Friday, just like start elbowing through some grandmas to get to a TV.
Yeah.
You know?
Just headbutting people. Get out of my way.
Don't mess with Grandma Gertrude. She's sick of your shit.
she is. All right, a couple fighting games to give you updates on. The first one is Street Fighter VI. The first DLC character, Rashid, is arriving on July 24th. Is that how you say it?
I should probably play that game since I spent $80 on it.
I got like 6 hours into the
story that first week, and I have not gone back to the game. I keep.
You had Diablo 4 and you had Final Fantasy. No judgment here. Yeah. No judgment here. But that's a game I see you going back to that. If not this month, definitely next month. And then talking about like, guys, I'm playing so much Street Fighter 6, I can't stop. Like,
I want to play the story campaign.
Story mode is very fun. I had a lot more fun as I kept on playing. So it's just goofy. So.
But that is players who purchase the deluxe or ultimate editions of the game will have access to that. You could also try them for free for 1 hour with the rental fighter ticket, which you can get in game before without purchasing. You can just try them out and see what his moveset feels like.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of games should do that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like that idea.
But it does sound weird that you're renting a fighter. But anyway, I know what they mean. It's a cool idea. I like it. Mortal Kombat had a new trailer released this week. The big news coming out of that, though, totally. The big news coming out of that is that Smoke and Rain been confirmed as full-on fighters that you can select, and then 4 cameos were confirmed in Sector, Cyrax, Frost, and Scorpion. That's cameos with a K that can come in and punch.
Who the hell is Frost?
Frost is female.
Is awesome.
Sub-Zero, right?
Female Sub-Zero. Okay, gotcha.
Freaking awesome. Like when I saw her, I was like, yes. Yeah. They're going all in with all the ninjas, and like I saw Kyle put in the chat how he likes how they're all very unique, and I agree. Like I just love that. My favorite characters are the ninjas, so I just love that they're bringing them all back, but they're not like you're not getting a copy and paste with different special moves. You're getting
Smoke always looked so cool to me.
Freaking Rain looks like he's straight from Egypt. Like he's still got the ninja vibe, but he looks like he's straight from like the Middle East, and I don't mean that in like a dorky like racist way. It just his total vibe is completely changed.
Yeah, it's a completely aesthetic change.
Yeah, he looks so freaking cool.
That's what I've loved so far about what we've seen so far.
Sector
I haven't seen
and
any
Cyrax,
of that,
even the Robo dudes.
Yeah.
Sector has always
that brings
been.
Me way back, dude. That's like those names.
Sector has always been like. He's up there with Kenshi as my favorite character. So when I saw him, I was a little disappointed, but not because I saw him. I was just like, I really wanted him to be fully playable. But
yeah,
I'll take him.
I'm still a little confused of who's cameo and who's not, but I'm sure.
I mean,
I'm sure they spelled it
Ed
all out.
Boon is very confusing on it because he has said that there are the potential for crossover, meaning like just because we saw Sector, Cyrax, Frost, and who else did you say?
Scorpion.
Oh, Scorpion as a
So cameos are non-canon characters.
Right.
Cameos can also be like main characters. So there is still a shot that later on they could be. No, Sector and Cyrax are also fully playable. I don't think they are. I think Smoke and Rain are going to be it, and I think the ones that they showed are strictly going to be cameos. But there is a chance that there is a chance that even if they're just showing them as cameo now, they could actually be fully playable.
Yeah, like Johnny Cage is a good example of he's cameo and he's not, and Sonya is a cameo and not. So like
Ed Boon did confirm that cameo
Cage
fighters are
going to kick that son of a bitch Bison's ass so hard.
Yeah, he confirmed that cameo fighters are non-canon to the story. No, I totally.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He did say that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. And the game, of course, early access starts on September 14th if you get the premium or collectors with the K edition. So there you go. More Mortal Kombat stuff to come, I am sure. I know that we've got at least a couple of you on this show that are very, very excited for that game. So that'll be one that we hear more about. Capcom, I didn't realize this, that Mega Man in its 36-year history has sold over 38 million units in its Mega Man series, which is very good. Not amazing considering how many entries there have been, but it's still it's a very successful franchise. But some of their other franchises, Street Fighter, 49 million, so 49 to 38. Monster Hunter, 92 million. Resident Evil, 142 million.
Wow, that shows you how big Monster Hunter was.
Yeah, that's insane.
East, because it did not really blow up.
Everybody played Monster Hunter, dude.
Yeah,
Whenever it was on PSP and stuff like that, because handhelds always dominated over there. So.
Right. Yep. So, but they are, according to this Q&A session during one of these shareholder meetings, and an FTC court drama. That's when all the news is coming out these days. In this shareholder meeting, they were asked about Mega Man, and they basically just said, they didn't say reconsidering, but it had that vibe where they're considering how to approach production for a new entry in the series in the future. It's not like they think it's a failure or there's a problem. They're just thinking through what's the next step here, because their last entry, which I think was like 8 years ago, was still a very throwback pixel art style for Mega Man. I think Mega Man 11 or 12, was it 12? Can't remember.
It was a retro style.
It's a retro style, so I think they're probably looking through like, all right, do we want to still do side scrolling? Do we want to upgrade the graphics? Go like Mario Wonder,
Legends 3
Ori?
confirmed. Here you go. You heard it here, folks. Everybody.
yeah. Who knows? So anyway, I also thought the sales numbers were interesting because Mega Man I think of as a very popular series, but
I think they need to strike soon though, because like it feels like a dead brand. You know what I mean? Like,
kind of
or
does.
at least not one with a lot of life in it. Not for any fault of its own, just because it's not around very often.
Yeah.
True.
Take a stab at something big. You know, why not?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's pretty much it for news, unless you guys know of something that you think's interesting to call out for this week. Yeah. Anything going? Okay, cool. As far as new games this week and new even movies and shows, there's not a ton, but just to hit on a few real quick. The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie. Yet again, these games they review well every time. Like I don't think any of these review poorly. Like at the worst, they might be in the 70s, but usually, just like this one, they're in the mid 80s. Very, very solid, well-made JRPGs, beloved by their fans. It's just none of us on the show usually get super into them. I know a couple of you have purchased different entries over the years, but like none of us are mega fans. I don't think of.
I try and want to be, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. But
and this is the second entry in this one, I think.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah. This is like the Crossbells like trilogy or whatever. So
what are we talking about?
Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie.
Oh yeah, no, that was we talked about this before. I got like 10 hours into the first game, liked it. It's got that Persona vibe.
Yeah.
I would.
But
say
you're like, go play Persona instead.
Quality compared to especially what Persona 5 ended up turning into, but it's definitely one of those franchises that I'm like, I still check on it. I've been checking on it this week, and I'm like, dude, you should just buy the games on Steam. But then the other side of my brain's like, you're not gonna play them. You don't have time. Shut up.
They're like 80 hours long.
Just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. But that is out.
And they never drop.
And there's like 9 to get through, so you know, you can break them up by trilogies, but there's so many.
They never drop to like $5 to $10. They're always, if they're on sale, they're
the first trilogy
off.
Does on Steam. It'll drop to like 6 sometimes.
Okay,
but like the later trilogies,
like
usually 20 is where it drops to, about 20.
Yeah,
so.
the cheapest I'll see is $20, and I'm like, dude, I cannot pay 20 for this one, then 30 for that one, then 40 for that one. It's just too much money, and I'm not gonna play them. I already know. So.
Well, that one is out, and I think especially if you grew up on JRPGs, or they kind of remind me of really good-looking versions of PS2 era RPGs, JRPGs specifically, or Dreamcast even. It just kind of has those vibes to it.
Exactly the vibe I get from those.
Yep. So lots to love about them. Just it's one of those games you have to decide, am I going to pump hours into this game? Another one that just came out is from Tequila Works. And they're the folks who made Rhyme, Deadlight, The Sexy Brutale. They're actually working on one of the League of Legends spin-off games called The Song of Nunu. And
True. Different franchise.
So this game's called Gylt, and they spell it Gylt. It's kind of a 3D adventure horror game with some like puzzle elements. I don't know how scary it is. Stealth elements. Okay. I don't know how scary it actually is. It looks a little more like
not very at all.
Freddy's, the Fridays at like I don't know. It looks a little more like kid horror than
it's like very kid looking.
Yeah, it's that's my background, by the way. She's in a school that you explore in the very beginning part of the game.
Kind of looks, the style's kind of cool. Looks
nice. The style is really cool. It's like a kid friendly Tim Burton, like Coraline
or something.
Coraline, yes, or Frankenweenie or whatever. Like something that kids can look at and not be too scared at.
Oh,
even
like
though
Lost
there are
in Random from a year or two ago.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That kind
exactly
of
like that.
spooky vibe. Yeah.
Right. Not so many gray. It's a little more colorful than that. Like it's not so many grays and stuff like that or blues. But yeah, it's cool. I like that it's like I thought it was going to be fixed camera third person with some vague side-scrolling element to it, but it's not. It's full, perspective, whatever you want to call it, where you have full control of the camera, third person, and there's actually maps in various areas where you have to refer to and be like, okay, I'm lost. What do I look for? But yeah, there's definitely a puzzle element to it that are more environmental, where like something could be in your way and you have to press a button to turn it off, or else it hurts you. And so you'll have to find a way to climb around it and press a button or whatever to turn it off, whatever. And really cool element to it is you collect inhalers and you use an inhaler to restore your health. What? I thought that was really fun. Yeah, because you're playing like a little girl who gets like bullied and she's looking for her lost friend. That's like awesome. I thought that was a cool like school, whatever, really elementary school, middle school element to it. And what else? Yeah, you start the game running away from bullies and stuff, and that's kind of when you get the grasp on how you're walking around and manipulating the camera and crouching and sprinting with stamina. So that's when you get a grasp on that, and then eventually you take a cable car from one area of the map to another, and when you cross over, it takes you to some parallel weird universe that's like your world, but it's been like ravaged by something. So like she gets there and she's like, what happened? And it looks like there's been an earthquake and suddenly there are these weird monsters around. She doesn't seem very shaken by the weird monsters, which is very strange. Like the voice acting is good, but she's like, oh, I should avoid that monster. And I'm like, what the hell? You should be more expressive. Like, what is happening right now? Like, this is so weird. There's none of that, which is very weird. But anyway, gameplay wise, it's really cool. It's got an Alan Wake element to it where eventually I got a flashlight that kills enemies. Like you have to, it uses your battery for the flashlight, so you have to eventually in the environment around you find more batteries for it. But you can use a certain beam or turn on your beam a certain brightness to take down enemies. And I'm like, oh, that's like, kind of like Alan Wake a little bit, or whatever. But yeah. But for the most part, in the early like half hour, I guess, of the game, you're going to be avoiding enemies and looking for these new tools and new weapons and stuff. You're going to be throwing soda cans to distract them, or you can even use your light to entice them to where your light is shining and then walk away from them.
Yeah, some classic stealth type maneuvers.
Classic stealth stuff.
That's good.
And the art style is so cool, man. You'll really dig it. It's $20, so it's worth it, I think.
So this game actually, it's new to all platforms now because
it was a Stadia exclusive, right?
It used to be a Stadia exclusive. Came out in 2019 actually, and but most people, of course, didn't have Google Stadia and did not play this game. So, and even people who had Google Stadia didn't play any games apparently, which is why it's gone now.
So. Yeah, I had Google Stadia and I think I used it one time for like, no lie, like 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I did too. That's so funny. I did like Destiny 2, I think, and I was like, oh, this is trash. Like, this is not working. But yeah, Gylt was one of those things where like once Tim brought it up in the chat, it's spelled Gylt, by the way, for anybody that's like, I can't find it. When Tim brought it up in the chat, I was like, why does that name sound so familiar? It just dropped out of my memory because it was a Stadia exclusive, but it looked really good, so I really wanted to play it. So it was cool to finally get hands on a platform that actually works.
Yeah, I've got that one wishlisted. I will give it a look at some point because I do like those kind of games a lot. Another game that came out, I don't think any of us have PSVR 2 though, but it is a notable release, and that is Synapse for the PSVR 2, which I know a lot of VR2 owners were looking forward to that one. And I think it's reviewing decently well, but I don't think any of us have that or are playing it. So just wanted to mention at least that it's out. And then last new thing this week that I do think is notable, because I think a couple of us at least watched it, and boy, is it funny. Tom Segura's new special Sledgehammer on Netflix. And it is, boy, there are some jokes in that bad boy. And some things are said, and This
was a special, like,
it was
for his fans,
for sure.
Mean, like, he wasn't trying to get a new audience with this.
A lot of it was, like, he had several moments that were Your Mom's House fans shout-outs. There were, like, multiple moments where it was like, if you don't follow him and his wife's podcast and some of their inside jokes,
Yeah, you don't know what's going on here.
Why is he trash talking Garth about where the bodies are? Like that's definitely a
that was so
joke.
to me that was a great
connect the dots. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, I mean, if you like Tom Segura's style of humor, this is more of that. And I heard him being interviewed actually on the Pat McAfee show with he's a former punter for the NFL. And they were asking him about this special.
Wrestler, announcer, yeah.
Turned wrestler, yeah. And he's just one of those big, loud personalities. He's just one of those types.
He's great. Yeah.
Some people hate him. I actually find him quite entertaining. But
so entertaining.
But anyway, they were interviewing him. It was a really funny interview because they have Pac-Man Jones on there too, who is actually a part of a joke in one of Tom's previous specials about talking to Adam Pac-Man Jones after a game, and they actually talk about that bit, which was really funny. But yeah, they asked him about the special, and he said he feels like this is one of his best ones for a couple reasons. Every comedian, I think, says that, but he said he had so much more time with this one. He did it was like 700 shows in the course of a year. It was something crazy, where he averaged like 3 shows a day or something for over the course of a year. And I know he didn't do it, but oh yeah, he said it was like you were able to refine every little corner and every little So I think that's really cool. That's pretty exciting for someone who's creating something. But I thought it was very funny. If you like his dark and very not clean style of humor, which I find him to be one of the best of that genre, right up there with guys like Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle. Like, not great for kids to watch, but if you appreciate comedy and the art form that it is, like it's top tier, man. It's top tier.
I totally agree. It's definitely my favorite since Mostly Stories. He just you can really tell he worked on it, and I just absolutely loved it. And in a time where people are like not taking big swings, like he took some pretty big swings with some of the jokes.
He did.
So in terms of walking the line of morality and whatnot, but that's what you're supposed to do. That's what comedy's all about, You gotta
I mean, he gets right into it,
kind of push a little beyond it. So
he gets right into it, even with like the name Sledgehammer, like what that title comes from. Like he gets right into that, and that. Like it's like the 4th bit or something, maybe it's more than that. But where it's like, oh my word, he's actually.
I'll give it a shot. I've never like particularly liked him. I'm not saying that from a standpoint of like I've ever watched his stand up, but I've watched like some of his podcast clips and stuff like that recently.
Very different.
Like, he's not that bad. So I'll actually give him a shot because I'm a big Bill Burr fan. Like Burr, I can literally just put on and I could be like, I've watched this clip 100 gazillion times and I'm still thinking it's amazing. So if it's anything like that, I'll probably appreciate it.
It's not as nearly as ranty or angry. It's more like he's saying the quiet parts out loud with like some of the gross stuff, but like it works because it's not so far out of left field that we can't relate to it at all. It's really well done. But Kyle's right. I do think Mostly Stories is his best one. I've watched that one multiple times. I think that's one of my favorite
hours. That's one of my favorite hours of comedy ever. Yeah.
I haven't rewatched his specials a lot, so that's kind of why I came away from this one going, oh, this is my favorite one, because I've watched all of them once. And
Mostly Stories is so good. Isn't that the one he does this? He does
really needs to make me go back.
Doesn't he do Steven Seagal bit in that one? I think that's the Steven Seagal one. I could be
pretty sure. Yeah. That and bikes and
when I saw Bill Burr live, it made me go back and watch all of his old. Old, I mean like bald Bill Burr era. Yes. I don't mean early Bill Burr. Because I was like, I haven't watched all those specials more than once. So when I did, in a new frame of mind, it made me like them. Like the black and white one's one of my favorites. I think that's the one about the yacht or whatever, the party boat, and he's like doing that thing, I think, and he's doing
the one too where he talks about the gun at nighttime, and where like if you have one that's too loud, it'll like mute you, and now you're blind. I think that's that one.
That might be that one, yeah.
Where his dog starts growling on the floor as he's sleeping. I don't know. He just does he's a good storyteller too.
He really is. But yeah, Tom Segura, this one and Kyle Kinane's, like they both just kind of caught me off guard, because what I didn't realize about stand-up comedy was I was kind of tired of hearing any type of real world position in your act. I wanted jokes.
I agree, dude.
And so like the last couple years, I was all about it. Like, share what you think about the world.
Yeah.
I'm all about it, whatever. This year, I was kind of like, can you stop and just tell me fart jokes?
Yeah, I would love it to get back to jokes. Like jokes.
Right.
Too, man.
So I feel like Segura's special did it like the best for me this year so far. And Kyle Kinane's, even though he does have some kind of rants in there about the current state of things online on social media and stuff, they always go back to some really tasteless like dick joke or fart joke or something. They always reroute at a point where you don't expect it to.
And hey, if that's not your thing, and I totally understand if it's not, I still think Nate Bargatze is one of the best as far as clean comedians go. And his newest special was actually quite well done, and it's in the round, and he's in that same vein just in terms of like, it's a break from all the stuff, all the noise outside. Yeah. So that one's, of course, that one's more like family friendly. It's much more of a like you could air this on TV.
Like that's why I watched and I might get some groans, but I watched Sarah Silverman's new special, and like, see, I knew it. I
don't have any strong opinions about her as a stand-up.
But it's a woman talking. I have a strong opinion.
But she's very, very. Not loud. Loud's the wrong word.
She's loud.
Very liberal, though. She makes that clear. So, like in her special, she does have those liberal moments that make me go, "Come on, get back to your dirty jokes." But her dirty jokes are so good that it made me like the special so much more. Like, holy crap, dude! Like
she's
some of them are
gotten more political over the years, but there were a couple specials back, and then all the ones before that, like that were just awesome. And then
she talks about there's a combination of being more, whatever you want to call it, socially aware or woke, doesn't matter. But she talks about how her friend came out to her or told her that she was queer. She was like, "I'm from Boston. I can call you queer, and it's cool." My friend Jill, fucking queer. Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Like, you don't have to say fucking. Like, what?
That's almost a Bill Burr type of a joke.
It kind of is, yeah. She's still capable of all those jokes. It's just funny, yeah.
She's funny. I think she's always been funny.
Yeah, I don't have any strong opinions one way or the other because I don't think I've heard any of her stand up. I've only seen her in a couple movies.
She's got some Comedy Central show back in the day, which I thought was just absolutely chaotically funny.
So tastelessly funny. Like I love that.
Tastelessly funny. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In a good way, like
and probably original as opposed to like what's Amy Schumer, who's
so incredibly original, unlike Amy Schumer's like hacky bits and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm not saying Schumer. I'm not saying she's not like a funny person to hang out with, but as a comedian, she's stolen so much content, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and I didn't know this till I went down that rabbit hole of like people who put together compilations. I didn't know this either
until recently. I'll always say that she's a pretty good roast comic. Like she's best when she's like mean, but outside of that, I don't have big opinions on her.
Same with like a Nikki Glazer or someone. She's hilarious on those roast shows.
Oh my god, roasting and just being quick on her feet. Like that's why I've actually enjoyed watching her host that whatever the reality show she did was. It was very briefly. She was on like HBO or whatever. Okay. It was so funny because her on her feet, like just having to respond to something some dope said, she just nails, like she just roasts them in the moment right then and there. She's just so quick and funny. But as soon as I watch her specials, it's all about like how her vagina tastes or something like that, and I'm like, oh my god,
it gets so gross so fast. Yeah.
And that's like 90 minutes of it. I don't mean to whatever. There's more variety than that. I'm obviously simplifying it, but
it's hacky. It's hacky, man.
Yeah,
it is hacky. I mean, it is hacky. What it is. Yeah. But you know what's not hacky is Tom Segura's special. It's good. Go check it out.
Sledgehammer's great. Check it out. Yep.
All right. Something I wanted to try real quick. I want you guys to, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not embarrassing at all, 10 being, wow, dude, that's pretty embarrassing. You tell me how embarrassing it is that I own this game in my Steam library and have 0 hours logged on playing it. All right. Now
Dragon Age Inquisition.
I'm gonna omit any games that I've played elsewhere. So a good example of that would be like Batman Arkham Knight. I put in a lot of hours on. I think it was PS4 that I owned that on.
Swear to me.
So I bought it super cheap on Steam, but I'm not gonna list it because I have 0 hours in it on Steam. I just haven't gone back to play it on PC yet. So here we go. You guys tell me if these are embarrassing. Alan Wake's American Nightmare. I played the first one, but
5.
The American, like the expansion? No, don't worry about that.
Not super embarrassing. Okay. Right.
Don't worry about it.
What about Before Your Eyes, which I bought at Jeff's recommendation, but still haven't purchased?
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but
it's the one that reads your eyes with the camera or whatever.
Yeah, your eyes are the controller. You blink through somebody's memories and stuff.
I'm gonna go 1.
It's not embarrassing at all. All right, fair enough. What about Call of Juarez Gunslinger?
It's 3. Fun, but that's a low stakes. You don't have to worry about that one.
With all the games, you can move on.
All right, cool. What about Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin? I have that on here. Never played it.
Derek, you take this one.
5.
All right, so not too bad. Darksiders 2. Never played Darksiders 2.
That's actually a good game that's another one of my frustrating games where it's like I've started that one 1,000 times, but
same here.
You guys have all started it but not finished it.
I've started that game like 30 times and have never like gotten beyond,
because it's
like,
really like
I got like
the
4 or
first
5 hours in. Yeah,
the first one's really good, but the second one like improves it. Like, big time. I mean, it's still a Darksiders game, but it really improves it. So I'm like, dude, I gotta play this. And every time I've started on the Wii U, PC, Xbox 360, I don't ever get past 5-6 hours.
Do it for us, Tim. 10. You should be embarrassed. 10. Do it
very
for us.
Embarrassed. I haven't even. I'm the only one here who hasn't even started that game. All right.
You might as well just start it and then just
that way I can.
You'll be like, I get what y'all are saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll put these two together. Deus Ex 1 and 2, the original Deus Ex games. Never played them, but I own them. Yeah, the original 1 and 2.
Those are considered classics. So but I haven't. They're so old. I haven't even played them, and I own.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, no embarrassment there. Good. Yeah. All right. What about Dragon Age Inquisition? How embarrassed should I be?
10, freaking 10. Especially since I bought it for you 17 times.
Yeah, 10. It's a 10.
To me, that actually has made it funnier that I haven't played it. Is that you've purchased it?
So like. You like I know like I think you're still kind of trucking like through Mass Effect 3 or Mass Effect, not like right now, but I think you still have some to play or whatever.
I am halfway through 3 and it's on pause, but
yeah, and not to bring that up, but to bring that up, this is the most Mass Effect like Dragon Age of all of them, you know.
I think in the back of my mind I always thought, let me get through the Mass Effect main trilogy. Mm-hmm. And 3 got interrupted by all kinds of other games, and it's still installed, and I'm like ready to play it.
That happens, yeah.
Gameplay wise, it's a lot like Diablo.
Oh, Dragon Age Inquisition. Okay, all right. So I feel a lot of shame about that one, you guys. A lot of shame about that.
It's a really, really good game if you want like not only fun gameplay, if you like Diablo style games, but the story, the characters. It's so. I know BioWare gets crapped on a lot, but it's the last, I would say,
more in recent years they do.
Game.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I have these, and I've played all of them, so these don't count. But I just wanted to mention them because I see them in my library here on the sale right now. The summer sale, you can get all the Far Cry main entries on Steam for it's like $40 or something to get all. So Far Cry 1, 2, 3, and Blood Dragon, 4, 5, 6, New Dawn, and Primal all
That's
together.
Incredible.
Wow. So like 9 games for $40.
I mean, you can make the argument that those are all the same game. I hear you, but like they're all good. So
there's at least 3 different games in there because like. Far Cry 1, 2, and 3 are vastly different games. Just 3 and on are all the same.
Agreed. Let's see what else on here. I'm gonna skip a bunch of these. Nope, I played that. Oh, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance installed. Still haven't started it.
10.
Get a refund.
That was a good game. It's hard. I struggled with it, but it's a good game.
10.
I beat it. Worth playing.
All right. What about Metro 2033?
This is a 10 for me. I've started this game twice.
6 or 7.
Okay.
Which is that the first one?
That's the first one.
Like I've always wanted to play this game so bad.
I have the other one on Epic Games too.
I beat the trilogy, and it's awesome. A really good trilogy. In fact, the last one, the ending is like that's one of those where you're like, you ended it perfectly. So I would say it's worth investing. I'm gonna give it a 7, but just understand that is the first one especially is a very, very dated game, very dated.
I don't know if any of you have played this one, Opus Echo of Star Song. I purchased on sale because the reviews were just so amazing. But I haven't played it yet.
I played that on Game Pass. I think it was on Game Pass.
Oh, was it? Okay. So I purchased it on sale, and it has like overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and it has like a 90-something on Metacritic.
Yeah, I played it, and I was just like, I'm just not into those types of games. It's kind of point and clicky, you know.
All right, fair enough.
How do you see where your time is, like on a game? Like, are you going through them individually, or
I
do you
actually
have
just
a
went
list?
to my library, and you click the little filters and just select unplayed, and then you can see everything that's listed as not played at all yet. I'm just skipping ones that I have played elsewhere, like Psychonauts. I played back on the PS2. Was that on PS2? Was that Xbox? I forget where that was. I played it back.
186 unplayed games. Good lord.
I think I'm almost done. Let's see. Oh, you know what?
387.
I never finished Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. Never finished it, and I never played, of course, Knights of the Old Republic 2: The Sith Lords. Never even played it, and they're both in my library. I've always wanted to. I never did.
To me, those are up there with like Dragon Age Inquisition. Like KOTOR and KOTOR 2 are absolute classics that still hold up. Yes, people can complain about like the gameplay, but I don't think there's anybody in this podcast that doesn't appreciate like RPGs and turn-based. These are a little different. They play more like Final Fantasy XII, where you're taking actions automatically, but you control.
And it's choreographed, so like it may feel dated to play, but it's actually still fun to watch. Like because like the actual lightsabers clash. It's not like you're just like MMOing like
story.
you know.
I'll say this. Cool. I'll say this. I think the story and characters still absolutely hold up.
Even if you know the story twists.
When the game released and the twists were all done and stuff like that, that was stuff that was not being done in video games before.
Yeah.
Like people were not seeing that type of twist and being like, "Oh, I've seen that in other stories."
That might be like a good like appreciation playthrough. If I put myself in the mindset of early 2000s, I might be able to really appreciate.
Yeah, because it's like BioShock. Like a lot of people know the end, of that game, but people like still will go and play it and experience it and be like, "Oh yeah, okay, either that did live up to the hype." Yeah.
All right,
I just know when I played it and they did all their reveals, I was like, "Oh my gosh, are you freaking serious?"
That first game is out of control. How awesome it is! Yeah.
Triangle Strategy I purchased on sale at one point, but I still haven't installed it
or
played it yet.
Such a good game. Yeah.
I need to play it. Instead, I actually recently elected to install Octopath Traveler 2 and Fire Emblem Engage are installed on my 2 handheld platforms, ready to play.
A lot of games right there. That's a
lot of games. All right, last one I'll list here is Space Marine, Warhammer 40K Space Marine Anniversary Edition.
I gotta play that. 10.
I think I have that
for
one.
all of you, all 3. It's a 10. You must.
I just thought that was kind of fun because I was looking through my library and I was like, can I see which ones I haven't even played? Because you can organize them by like when you purchased it or like last time you fire it up. You can organize it by recently played, all that kind of stuff, which is interesting too because it'll organize them by month. So, for example, a game like Valheim, I last fired up in March. And it'll it puts it in the March bracket. So it just kind of shows. And so I like seeing things organized like that. But on the filters, you can look at things that were played. So anyway,
that's pretty cool. I never did the unplayed filter. I know some of the 387 that I have unplayed. That's because I own them on other consoles or something like that, and I just maybe got them for free or super cheap. But still, there's probably at least 200 plus games I haven't even touched. That's crazy.
It's a lot. It's a little bit eye-opening too when you think about the money attached to all that stuff.
Well, I know a lot of them are from like Humble, like my monthly Humble, and I'll just like redeem the code, but I'm like I'm not gonna play
I've redeemed codes, whether it's you've given some codes, I've purchased stuff on Humble Bundle. Anytime I've redeemed a code, that goes into that same bucket and it just kind of sits there. That same
that like I shared with you guys in the chat, I thought it was an awesome deal. I got 3 games for $10, and one of them was that Solstice or whatever that I was waiting for it to drop to $10. So, but then I was able to get 2 other games. I'm probably never gonna play them, but I checked them out and I'm like, these look really cool, but I'll never play them.
Yeah.
So that's just another 2 games that are gonna jump on that list that I'll probably never touch. But that's how I do it. I buy like a lot of games grouped together, and then I'm only buying it for 1 game, and then I'm getting like 5 free.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about other things that aren't new and yet we're still playing and enjoying before we wrap things up with our Game of the Year Watch segment, where we'll talk about games that are in the running for Game of the Year discussions for you personally. But stuff that you're playing right now, I think the biggest one, the most obvious one is going to be Final Fantasy XVI. But let's cover anything else you're playing outside of that before we talk about Final Fantasy XVI. I know a couple of you finished it. Most of us are much farther than last time we talked, so we can talk a little more about it. I know, Kyle, you and I are playing some Dave the Diver. Jeff and I talked about it real briefly last week. At least I think we did. Or did we just talk about it in our chat?
We talked about Dave the Diver.
So I'm having a blast with it. I've still put way more hours than I expected into this little kind of exploration loop and restaurant running thing that this is. Yeah. I described it last week as a little SteamWorld Dig 2-esque, and just in terms of like you go do a run, collect a bunch of stuff, and then come back up to upgrade. It's a similar vibe, and that's where the hooks get into you, man. That's where the hooks get in, and you just can't. You're like, man, I gotta stop playing this freaking game.
Yeah, it was out of control today.
Yeah, but you're liking it.
I've been really enjoying it. Yeah, and like it's just so absurd. Like the whole story or whatever you want to call it or whatever. Like immediately, like someone comes up to you and is just like, hey, there used to be a whole underground or underwater civilization of people that live down there called sea people.
Right.
And they're like, go and find them. You're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be one of those types of games, and it's just giant squids and mythological weird stuff going on. But then at the end of the day, you go back to your bar and make sushi, and it's just so absurd and weird,
dumb,
and it's cute too,
Yeah.
and super cozy is what I was calling it in chat, because it's just
you can upgrade your recipes and make more money and improve your staff's stats and stuff.
And if you're really busy, you have to remake like wasabi and stuff like that. There's a lot of moving parts to the sushi part, even just like the setup, like you're saying, like creating new dishes and stuff. Just super super cool. Deeper you go down, the better the fish, the better but the more dangerous things are and everything like that. And it feels like there's a nice steady stream of either random things that can happen or missions that come your way. So you're never just like diving in the water aimlessly like hunting fish. Like there's always a couple missions or something that they're throwing at you.
The dumb dolphins always getting captured. Like stop.
Stop it. Yeah, cut that out. Yeah. I'm really liking it. The last thing I did was a lady wanted me to get her a shark head, and that took way longer than I thought it would. Like from when I got that, when I actually completed that, like a lot of days had passed. But that's the thing; it doesn't. If you just want to keep on grinding days and making money, you can absolutely do that while you let stuff go by, because nothing expires. But it's just really fun. I can see myself picking this game up and just like putting in like 10-20 minutes, on a break or something like that, and putting it down, picking it back up, and I'm really enjoying it. Really like the graphics a lot. Really like the music a lot. Have you noticed any of the
music
stuff stood out to you? Yeah, it's super great.
Music's so good. That's one of those things where I thought like I can play it on silent while I watch something, but I always sneak one headphone in because I love the sound effects and music.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really
and you can upgrade lots of stuff. Yeah, not only just the stuff on you and your gear, but like the stuff back at your bar, which I really like. So you can kind of make it, a little more.
And it's very funny. I was telling the guys last week about the little cutscenes when you upgrade things.
Yeah.
Those are really hilarious to me too.
The meditative soy sauce drop that like drops like meditative like water or whatever. It's so stupid. I love it.
Or like the chef who's also like a samurai because he focuses, and then he'll like chop things up in and this whole montage of him like focusing and then being inspired by some idea. And it's the same thing with the kid who creates your guns. Like he'll put on his gloves basically. Did you see that?
He has an anime girl.
Yes, the anime girl. Yeah,
he's like a weeb. Yeah, he's a giant.
He'll even
weeb
like stop and look at her, and then like little hearts will come up, and then he'll keep working.
He looks at her for inspiration to keep his work. It's so good. But the quick little cutscenes are just so fun and so silly, and there's just a lot of character to it, and it's just a super super easy loop to get trapped in. So yeah, I'm super excited to play. This is my neon demon this year, I think. So
yeah, I get those too. Yeah, this is the same thing, same time frame too. It was last year. That was a summer game. Was a neon game. Cool. Anything else that you guys are playing outside of Final Fantasy 16 that's worth highlighting? I'll just open up to anybody. Quick hits on games that you're playing.
I'll do quick hits. I went back to Atomic Hearts today. I don't know why. It was like I was really tired, so I'll give the game a little bit of a pass just because I was tired and cranky. But like I was playing it, and I was literally having the same conversations I had at launch, where I was like, "You're really annoying. This game is dumb. I don't want to do the puzzles. You're extremely like sluggish in your movement. The combat sucks. Why am I playing this game?
You don't have to play it.
I feel like I have to.
It bums
I don't
me
know
out because
why.
I have this game downloaded and I was so psyched for it. And it's on, I have the Series X now, and I was like, it's gonna look really good. But like, I've heard nothing but bad things about this game from everybody.
I mean, give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it, Kyle. I
got no time for patience with stuff these days.
6 to 8 hours in, and I just feel like a lot of times, like I'll play a game, and if I'm not feeling it, but I still want to like it, if I come back to it, my opinion changes because I know what it was, and so my expectations usually lower, and then I'll play it and I'm like, oh, this is fun. I was just cranky or whatever. I don't know. I was really pissed off at it today. So that I gave it a shot. We'll see if I play it again. I'm still playing Yuffie DLC for Final Fantasy VII.
Nice.
I think that's going to be the next game I complete. But
real quick, let me ask you.
Access that content.
Go ahead.
How do you access that content?
So it's for me, when I load up the game, if you just hit the right trigger, it brings it over to intermission or whatever. I don't know.
Intergrade.
It's not integrated into the game at all.
No, like she starts at level 25. So I'm actually playing this on my PC, whereas I did New Game Plus of Final Fantasy VII on PS5. So I'm playing the DLC on PC because it runs better, looks better. Because I was like, well, I'm not carrying anything over, and she just starts over as her own character, level 25. Same thing I said last week. Still extremely silly. She's an extremely silly character, but I actually really like her. And then the guy that she's running around the city with, I think his name's Solomon or whatever. He's just like this very nice, polite guy who's just calls her boss. I don't know why he calls her boss, but it's fun so far. But I'm not super far into it still. But I think that's next on my hit list.
Nice.
Because I was able to knock out Diablo 4 today. Which is one of the games that I was like, okay, I want to get this done with before I move on to anything else. So I finished Diablo 4. I enjoyed it. I don't think I'm done with the game. I don't think I'm going to be highly invested in it like other people, but I do want to come back and play whatever content because I did buy the stuff. Yeah, I bought the $100 version really twice. Yeah. I bought it on PC. No, on PC I bought the standard edition, but on Xbox, I bought the $100 version that comes with the 20 tier pass of
Battle Pass. That gave you like 4 days early access or something, didn't it?
Yeah.
It did, yeah.
So I'll definitely jump into the new season just to access all my new content, check it out, see if I like it. But I could see this being kind of like my Melee Destiny, where I'm like, hey, I just want to turn off my brain and watch things die in a cool way. Yeah. Sorry, I do have a lot, so I'm just going to go through them real quick. I went old school. I hooked up my PS3, hooked up my Xbox 360, so I just dabbled a little bit in Twisted Metal 2012 I actually played like 3 hours of. Awesome game.
Is that the one with like the story mode and stuff like that? Like the really elaborate. I like that game, yeah.
So I beat Sweet Tooth's portion of the story, and now I'm in Nightmares. I understand the complaints from the online community about the way they did the story, because like old school Twisted Metal games, you would just pick your character that's attached to their car, and then you would just play the campaign and get their ending, right? The campaign would be
Mortal Kombat or any kind of fighting game, really.
It's the same as every other campaign, except their story ending's different. This is actually like a story like campaign mode where you pick Sweet Tooth, or he's your only option. You start with Sweet Tooth, but you pick what car he's in. He's not tied to his ice cream truck. Oh. And you actually pick 3 cars because the way the game's set up is like the levels are more intense and a lot of them are bigger. So they actually have garages built in. So if your car's about ready to blow up, you can actually go in a garage and grab your second or third car. It's really good. It still holds up. I've talked about how I love my little mini 1080p monitors. PS3 and Xbox 360 both look great on those monitors, so I like my little setup for that. I also jumped into, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Full Auto games, but I jumped back into Full Auto 2, which is a PS3 exclusive, and I actually bought Full Auto for my Xbox 360 off eBay for $8. It just came in today. Those are very similar to Twisted. They're like Twisted Metal, except they're racing games, so it's strictly
Sega
racing.
Games, huh?
Yeah, they're really fun. And then the last thing that I played was Dragon Age Origins. I had started it during COVID like 3 years ago on my 360, so I wanted to continue that playthrough. So I jumped back into my original playthrough from 3 years ago. I think this is like my 4th playthrough. I think I beat the game like 3 or 4 times. Because when I tried to boot up my save information, I had all these different characters and they were all high level, and I'm like, I beat this game that many times. It makes sense because I always get these desires to play BioWare games, and I always go back to them. So I beat almost every BioWare game, like Dragon Age, Mass Effect, all of them. I've always beat them like 4 or 5 times, and Coder as well. So anyways, I'm probably on my 4th playthrough of Dragon Age Origins. So I've been gaming a lot, but jumping from game to game, but still knocking stuff out, which is good. So
did you happen to finish the first part of this Witcher season that came out in June? Did you finish that?
Yeah, as far as shows, I can do a quick hit on that.
What do you think about how it ended? You know, obviously a cliffhanger because it goes to part 2 at the end of July.
Right. I forgot those 2 parts. Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I did enjoy The Witcher this season.
I did too.
So
yeah.
The 5.
I hear the online buzz is really good.
The characters are so much more interesting after, like, in this 3rd season. Like, I'm invested in everybody, and I've been going through the books little by little, audiobooks. Let's not give me too much credit for actually reading here, but I'm listening to the books. By the way, the guy who reads the Witcher books is awesome. If you have a local library that does like the audiobooks, you can check out. Anyway,
are they on Audible?
I use like the Libby app and just check them out for free.
Okay.
My library. But anyway, I'm listening to one now that keeps referencing the big event that happens on this Isle of Thanedd at the end of this little run of episodes. So if you're familiar with the books at all, it's even referenced in the game. It's a pretty big turning point in the that universe.
And again, I don't know how
it's like an official book thing that happens where there's like
that's what I was going to say is a lot of the compliments for this season is that it's actually sticking to the lore and the books
big time. Yeah.
better than they did originally. So I think it's getting compliments for that. But just coming purely from hey, I like The Witcher a lot, but I don't know the books or anything like that, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
And then 2 other things, just real quick. I watched the first part 1 of season 2 for Lincoln Lawyer. Don't ask me why I like this show. It's not a Derek show. I shouldn't like it, but I absolutely love season 1, and I love part 1 of season 2. It's so. There's so many things that as I watch it, I'm like, that's stupid. Why'd you do that? Or like, this is cheesy. But I'm like, I keep coming back to it. Like, I keep watching it. So it's just fun entertainment. And then on the movie side, I actually just got back from going to, I've said this before, it's probably a bad thing to announce, especially if people listen to me on this show, but I lead a young adults group. So I'm corrupting minds of young. And we actually had like a movie night at the church, and we watched Jesus Revolution. And I've spoke on like the quality of like faith-based movies. I hate most of them.
Yeah,
they're over the top, cheesy. They're very preachy. They're not very realistic at all.
Yeah.
This one is built based off a true story. Again, some of the stuff I'm sure is not 100% accurate, but it's based off a true story. I thought it was pretty well done. It gets a little convoluted. It went a little long, but the acting, they're getting better acters. They're not getting like these people that are on like Christian churches on plays. Right? Kelsey Grammer's in this. The boy that does like a lot of romantic comedies from Netflix is in it. And who's the other? Oh, the Jesus guy from The Chosen Show plays a guy that looks like Jesus. But overall, the quality is pretty good. Like, you can see them stepping up, and it was entertaining. It was nice to watch the story.
Nice.
And I watched it with my daughter. She's part of the group, and as we were driving home, she's not a Christian, so she was just like tearing into it. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this about the church. I'm like, okay, honey, it wasn't that bad though. And she's like, no, it was this, but it was, my point is, it was pretty entertaining. Like, it was decent movie for being.
It was a swimming in sevens. That's your thing.
It is. It's a swimming in sevens. Well, I would give it a little lower, but it's right, in that range.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
It came out the same day as Cocaine Bear, which is very Christian as well.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Well,
what if they had mixed up those
about
names to Jesus Bear and Cocaine Revolution? That would have been interesting.
But the thing is this movie's all about like the hippie movement of Christianity, right? And these were all drugged up. They were Christians that were all druggies. So there is a lot of drugs in the movie. Like, they don't show them like using it, but you can definitely tell they're all under the influence of drugs.
It was peak counterculture movement, right? During like war protests and stuff like that.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember the trailers. Yeah.
Cool. Nothing else new for me outside of what we already talked about with Witcher and Dave the Diver. Kyle or Jeff, anything big to highlight, or even little to highlight that you wanted to talk about?
I got further into my Road to Elite on AEW Fight Forever, which is probably one of my swimming in sevens for the year for sure.
Me too. It's totally mine too. Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah. I am beating people in like 2 minutes. It's so entertaining. It's so funny. Like, my momentum is, which is like your motivation. I think they call it motivation. The higher your motivation is between each match, the more likely you are to go into your match with a spirit bar that's already almost that signature status.
Yeah,
it's already pumping. Yeah. So like I'll get my finisher 30 seconds in now because I just have.
Sometimes
to
I'll do it and I'm like, all right, well I don't want to beat him yet, so I'll do like their finisher on him and then pick him back up, but it builds up again really fast. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because that really helps too. So I'm already champ in my because it's a short run where it's like you get four weeks between, or actually it's a 4-week run where at the end of the 4th week is a pay-per-view. So it's supposed to be short, so you go through it multiple times. But it's really fun, and I'm already champ after the first pay-per-view. I beat Chris Jericho for the title. And then there's like mini games in between each show too that I opted to go ahead and do because those if you win, you get money.
Do you collect the coins?
Yeah, I collected the coins. There's one where you throw barrels from outside the
ring.
I
haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. You throw like gas tanks in, and if you hit like certain barrels that are labeled like 3 or 10 or whatever, you get the most points. Sometimes I lose and it's complete BS. It's like total BS. There's one that's kind of like Dance Dance Revolution or Guitar Hero-y where somebody's doing poses and you have to match it in a certain rhythm. And I won that one easily because come on, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've played so many Clone Hero, Guitar Hero type things that I'm like, okay,
you're
I know
a
what they're
DDR
doing.
boy. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. But there is like there's a catch at the end of each round where it's like they do the pose and you're supposed to kind of memorize the buttons by that point, and I don't, so I just guess, and I'm like, I can afford to be wrong because I'm so far ahead of everybody, so it's fine. There was another one too that's like an AEW quiz, which you would think I would have gotten most of that right, but I didn't because there were questions like, when was this person born? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Ask me when they won the title, for crying out loud. I don't know.
That's a little bit of a weird question, though.
Yeah,
that is.
Yeah, they were like, which of these people were born in September? And I'm like, I don't know. And then everybody got it wrong, so it's fine.
Yeah, like I follow a lot of different sports and stuff, and I have favorite athletes on favorite teams, but I don't know when they were born.
No,
fake fans.
There's
Y'all
no
are fake
freaking way.
fans.
We're fake fans.
Fake
That's
fans.
what we are.
There's one
Kyle,
too that
fake
was.
when was Jeemers born? When was Kojima born?
I'm sorry, you cut out. I couldn't hear you just now.
There's one that was like, hey, this one wrestler also has a bachelor's degree in something. What field does she have a bachelor's degree in? And I'm like, I don't listen to you guys on commentary at all because I don't remember this detail. Like, and I clearly watch every week, but like, and I know they've mentioned it, but I was like, how the hell am I supposed to know that? Aviation?
Well,
I know her cup size, but I don't know her degree.
Can we be like? I think JR is kind of phoning it in too with a lot of his.
Oh yeah, big time. He's giving you the training stuff between the Road to Elite campaign. He's like, here's what you're gonna do for this. It's gonna be a slobber knocker.
You're talking out of the side of his mouth.
But he sounds like he's on the phone doing it. Like, you want me to read this? Okay, cool. And it's not very good.
In between bites of barbecue chicken, he's reading off his line.
I am further in the Pikmin 4 demo. It feels like it's however long I want it to be because I'm exploring way more than I am actually doing goals. Because I think when you hit a certain point where you hit 1,500 of whatever resources you're supposed to collect, that's when your demo ends, and I'm not even close to hitting that because I'm constantly exploring and finding either new Pikmin or other resources you can use for like to cash in at certain vendors to get like certain perks or skills unlocked. So I'm enjoying that as my like chill game, I guess, like just very relaxing, no pressure.
You said that carries over, right? We confirmed that.
I believe
last
so.
week.
Yeah, we looked that up last week.
I think Kyle Googled it or somebody, maybe Dan.
I finished.
I do need to play it. Like I bought the game, I'm not backing out.
Yeah, please pick up that demo just to, I guess, start progress. Because
I think I already downloaded it. I just haven't been on my Switch since Tears of the Kingdom, which I have been ignoring for the last like 2 months, I would say.
I feel like most people have, honestly. I've seen way less memes online of Zelda now. So yeah, it's been happening. I finished Skull Island on Netflix, which is the
animated King Kong thing. Yeah, it's
an animated series set in the MonsterVerse, but primarily set on King Kong's island, and it's very, very good. I was very surprised. I went in with like almost pretty much no expectations, not low, but certainly none. And it was funnier than I thought it would be. The characters are extremely well written.
Good.
There's a great spectacle to it too, even though it's animated. But like obviously you have the giant monsters and stuff. Other than that, I just rewatched the last 2 Mission Impossible movies to get ahead of
Monday night.
Yeah, Monday night. Derek and I are seeing early screen, not together, but we're seeing early screening.
I was like, wait,
are gonna like Skype each other while you watch it?
Of Dead Reckoning. You know, it's gonna
bro, this is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah,
people next to you are like, shh.
We're gonna FaceTime. Yeah, I was gonna do IMAX Tuesday night, but I was like, nah. If I could see it a day before, that would be awesome. Like if I could see it a day earlier, even just on a little smaller screen.
I'm so hyped for this movie.
Yeah.
This is like
Dude,
a video game release for me, for like a franchise I really care about.
I'm very
After
excited.
watching all 6 of the movies, like what 3 months ago or whatever.
Yeah,
the last 3 have been so great that I
know.
cannot wait for this one.
That's why I'm probably more hyped for this than like Nolan's next movie or I know y'all aren't hyped for it, but I'm pretty stoked for Barbie because it's just ridiculous. But like I'm more hyped for this movie because it's something that that the quality is going to be of such a high level, kind of like John Wick 4, where you're like, well, yeah, so like I have to be the most hyped for this because we know the quality is going to be just utterly insane, deliver on a level that we've never seen before, stuff like that. Because even
also,
with
we're
Fallout,
back in the era of part 1s, Dune, Spider-Man, and now Mission Impossible. Like, it's going to not end satisfactorily. Is that the right word?
Fast X is getting like a trilogy, I guess.
But like, it's clearly a part 1. So if you're gonna
Yeah.
go see it, everyone just know that it's not going to resolve everything. Part
I've-
2 is on the way.
I've heard reviews. There's one critic that I follow and I like him. He's a nice guy. I've met him, talked to him several times. Who like his biggest hang up with Spider-Verse was like that was clearly a part 1, and I don't know how I'll feel about it until I see part 2. Like that was his reservations on the movie, and I was like, that's kind of dumb, but okay, live your life, I guess. But on Dead Reckoning, he was like, that movie has a beginning, middle, and end, like a very definitive beginning, middle, and end.
It's on 99%
Yes.
on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Holy
the reviews are
crap.
completely out of control for this movie.
Because I believe, even though Spider-Verse is kind of in the same ballpark, I believe the movie does have a beginning, middle, and end, but the cliffhanger is that you know where everybody is, you know where they're heading. It's just there's definitely an end.
I agree with that,
which is great. Great to
I
hear.
had no problem, by the way. I love Spider-Verse, the way it started, the middle, I loved it. I thought it was a complete experience, and I'm looking forward to see what happens.
I thought it was a brilliant cliffhanger too, because like our main hero and even like the side hero who ended up being the co-lead, kind of, they're like they have their resolve, they know what they're going after.
Yes.
You know, they have their family that they're trying to protect. Like it felt like an ending in a way, but like obviously it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, agree. All right, cool. That's coming out this week, Mission Impossible stuff. I'm
on a Wednesday.
Planning on seeing it this week. We'll see if that works
same.
out. Hoping if that works with my schedule.
Hopefully Tom Cruise is able to rope in people in the theaters because this has been a weird summer.
He's gonna Maverick everybody. Don't worry.
I think so.
Yeah,
It'll happen. He's like the one guy who doesn't need to join a comic book movie universe, and he still just
Steven Spielberg straight up said last year, or actually at the Oscars or whatever award show,
you saved Hollywood or something.
Yeah, he was like, "You saved Hollywood with Maverick," and he was like, he was trying to be his Tom Cruise humble self, his public-facing humble self.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
he went home and like gave some of that energy to Xenu immediately. It came out of him.
He just uploaded right away. Uploaded all that energy. Kyle, what about you? Anything else?
I only have one other game to talk about, and I just gave it a soft diddle, so I can't talk too much about it. But it's Alien Dark Descent.
Sexual.
Alien Dark Descent.
Yeah. This game immediately nails the vibes of like what I want an Alien game to be or whatever. I will say that if people are looking to get it, it's only $40 also. It feels like a pretty ambitious game for a $40 game. The graphics aren't the best. What is the game?
Yeah, I haven't actually watched anything on it.
It's a real-time strategy game.
Okay.
So it would feel better on mouse and keyboard, I would say. They do a really good job adapting things to the controller, but like me just knowing how these games usually play, you know, like it just the precision of the mouse and everything like that, it would just feel better on a computer, I think. But what I've played is really good. The story setup is really, really good. I'm really interested to play more of this game because I know that they have all these features I haven't gotten to yet, like there's like a sanity meter for all your characters. So if they go through too much trauma, they'll like go crazy and might like break formation and run off and get killed in the darkness or whatever, you know. So it's like you have to kind of like send people to the med bay and figure out new ways to research and develop ways to equip your characters better, much like XCOM 2. You know, it's very much like that. in terms of like the base stuff, and and sending your people out to die, they die and they stay dead. So
right,
they can go into a state of down. You can pick them up and carry them like to the extraction point. You can leave missions halfway through if things are going too south or whatever. Sometimes it's better to leave a mission and come back and finish it later. I can just see myself getting lost in this game. I'm just so shocked it's $40. I haven't played enough of it to see all the bugs, but I know that it's been patched since it came out, so I don't know where it stands at in terms of like performance. But as I play more, I'll check back. But yeah, I've been really enjoying that one a lot.
By the way, speaking of Alien games, whatever that shooter one was from like 2 years ago or last year, whatever that was.
Yeah, Fire Team.
Okay, super underrated.
Very great.
I remember having so much fun with Kyle on that one.
I had a blast with that game. Super great. Yeah, it's Left 4 Dead but with aliens.
Exactly. And you were like scrambling at the end of the very last goal of the mission.
Yeah,
like,
it's
shit. Where's the
always
ship?
A scramble. Like, get to the extraction. Yeah, it's a lot of screaming. Yeah.
That's cool.
A couple other quick hits. I know y'all probably talked about it last week, but I did see Indiana Jones last week. The new one where he's 80. It's really good. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, there's some like hard to swallow pills that you just have to get out of the way, but like it is what it is, and I had a good time. I'd rather it exist and this be the ending than it not exist and not have this ending. So in terms of it being a franchise and stuff like that, I thought it ends pretty well, and it just I had fun. It was a fun movie, and it's one of the Disney's most expensive movies ever, and it's bombing so hard at the box office right now.
It was that expensive?
It's so expensive.
I guess they probably had to do a lot of like special effects.
Tons of special effects.
A lot of special effects, and a lot of the stuff they did practical too. So they used it where they had to, but like a lot of the set, it just feel like the sets feel good. A lot of the things feel good about this movie. But yeah, we don't have to get down.
I could never get into Crystal Skulls. I watched like the first 10-20 minutes of it like back when it launched, and like for rental and stuff, and I just couldn't get into it. And this is coming from a guy who was raised on the original trilogy, so I've watched the original trilogy a ton just with my dad. Same thing with Star Wars. I watched all the Star Wars movies a gazillion times, but I couldn't get into Crystal. So I have a desire. Well, first of all, I'd like to watch Crystal just because I would like to watch it. But I want to watch this one.
I never seen it.
Yeah, I watched it, and I had every intention of trying to enjoy it this time, because I can be like, hey, I just enjoy the company of familiar characters, and Indy being like a big hero of mine growing up. Like, I thought I was gonna be able to find that comfort. That movie is shaky and hard to enjoy, and
I just don't think it's as bad as people say. Like,
I don't think it's like. I think I agree with that. I think
I just don't think it is, and I think it actually ends the way it ends. I remember feeling like that was a good way to wrap it up. I didn't like the story or the motivation of all the characters. Like, I thought the movie was a bit of a mess, but I did like the way it ended. It kind of embraced some of that early '90s cheesy like credits rolling moment. Like, I kind of liked the way it ended with him. Like, do you remember that the hat blows over to Shia's feet and he goes to put it on, but Harrison grabs it right before he puts it on as they walk out? Little moments like
I don't have a Shia LaBeouf hate boner like everybody has. I think he's actually entertaining in the movie. To be honest, there's a lot of things about the movie that I did enjoy this time around, and I will agree that people crap on it way more than we should. And that just started really heavy, and everyone continued to keep it on pretty heavy over the years. But
it is
anytime something's big, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, anything like that, I'm noticing that. Honestly, I know this is going to sound like duh, but like we don't always do this. You just have to form your own opinion, because if you listen to the crowd, too many people's expectations of stuff is not even close to what my expectations are. So like Star Wars, like this last trilogy that came out for Star Wars, I enjoyed it apparently a hell of a lot more than most people, because all I saw was complaints. I didn't love the third one, but I would never say to people, third one was absolute trash. It's woke garbage. I would. Yeah. That trilogy was a fun trilogy.
Dude, it sounds like you had the same feeling on the trilogy than I did, because the third one was my least favorite, but even then I was still like on Letterboxd I was still like 3.5 out of 5 stars. Like I still had a really good time with it.
I thought it was I thought they were
so I believe that I could go watch. I do think I could watch Crystal Skulls, which by the way I do like.
It's very Indiana Jones, and like there are those moments in it.
and I could be wrong, but I think when it launched, I think that was the beginning of the Shia like hate boner.
Oh,
It was.
Yeah, it was. Him being in
just
that
starting-
movie, people hated so
yeah.
much.
His
and it
hair
became...
is awful in that movie too. That doesn't.
Yeah,
help.
well, he's a greaser, and like they try and
It's
play it up because it's a
horrible.
1950s movie.
Yes.
So they try and it's just so stupid. There's
His
even a
hair
big
is bad.
scene. There's even a big scene where like the greasers fight all the preppy kids like in a cafe shop, and I'm just
Yes.
like,
I think
Steven
that's where I
Spielberg
got
is having
to it.
such
Isn't
a
that in like the
1950s
beginning?
boner right now that bothers me.
It's
Like
towards
he
the-
just
that's
really
towards the
wanted to
beginning,
explore that era.
I think
for
that's
whatever
where I
reason.
got to,
Yeah,
and I
I'm
was
with
like,
you.
and then they do like a chase scene, and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you enjoyed this new one. We almost went to see it, but decided it was a little too long and for
It is
theater
long.
viewing.
They could chop 20 minutes off this movie.
Dude, yeah,
for
Kyle
sure.
and I were like, when we chatted about the movie, we were like, it felt like, I think 3 of the action sequences went on like maybe 10 minutes too long, where you're like,
Yeah.
the beginning sequence, and then there's like a plane sequence. And there's some other action sequence too, where I'm like, we got the point already. Like, I feel like you can kind of wrap it up a little bit.
How
quicker.
long's the movie? Does anybody know?
2.5
off the top?
hours. Yeah,
that's
2.5.
long. Yeah, it's long.
Mission
2.5.
Impossible's 3 hours, so buckle up.
Yeah, but I
I'm
want
fine
that.
Yeah,
with.
but I bet it
Oh,
won't
yeah,
feel
that's
it.
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I bet it won't
I
feel it
want
at
that.
all.
I want
you
that
know?
on IMAX XD. I want it to hit me in the face. I want to
I
feel it
didn't
in my
feel.
gut.
I didn't feel the length of John Wick 4 because it was just so well done that I was like,
neither,
I
yeah.
don't care. Just
Yeah.
keep
I was
killing.
only
things.
tired because the movie asks so much out of your adrenaline. Like that's the only. Yeah, it wasn't because the movie was long or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
But just for the sake of time, I'll just say one more. I've been watching the TV show Warrior. This is the best show on TV about punching people in the face.
That's a great show. I love that show.
Yeah, the season 3's been awesome. I think the story's about like counterfeiting money and stuff like that this season, and it is awesome.
Wait,
like,
you're talking about Warrior,
Oh, I thought that
like
was the
the
HBO
show that
show.
was on Cinemax, right?
yeah,
They just released a new season.
yeah, it's on HBO. Yeah.
Freaking what?
Yeah, they just it's week to week right now, and they're on episode 4 right now.
I didn't even.
I've only
what
seen the first
freak?
2 seasons, but I love that show.
It's so good, guys. Oh man, I'm having such a great time with this show.
Well,
and
thanks,
like,
so behind.
Kyle.
I'm so behind
That's
on
my
the
next
show.
show right there.
yeah,
dude. I
you're
didn't
welcome,
know.
man. Yeah, it opens up on like such an elaborate action sequence the very first episode,
Do
and
they
it's just
give
like,
you,
oh
like,
yeah, this show is
Oh, yeah, this
ridiculously
show.
good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Are they gonna? Do they? I would imagine they kind of recap the first 2 seasons because
They
it's been a
do.
while since
There's a
I watched
recap.
those.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a recap. Yeah.
I need a recap.
Why am I blanking on his name right now? I remember his name every single time except right now. Iron
Guy
Chef.
from. Oh.
Iron Chef, the guy from John Wick 3.
Mark something.
Mark Dacascos, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
I needed just a kickstart. He's in this. He's always amazing. I feel like when you put Mark Dacascos in a Western kung fu show or movie or anything, there's a validation that happens. Like, hey, this is good, stamp of approval type of thing, you know?
Is he the guy who did the Crow TV series?
I don't know. I don't ever watch that. Yeah, I'm not sure. If so, that goes against everything I'm saying. So
What a throwback, dude! Like, I don't even remember that existing. That's
yeah,
crazy.
me neither.
I didn't know that existed either, to be honest with you.
Mark
he was the bald
Dacascos.
guy.
Yep.
He was the bald guy in John Wick 3. He was like Zero or something like that, I think.
Yeah,
everyone
he
knows
was-
him as Iron Chef, the Iron Chef.
He was in
That's
The Crow Stairway to Heaven, which only had 1 season, I think.
It's so funny that you
oh.
remember that crap. Oh,
Yep.
but that was a different time, dude.
That was a different time, dude.
Because
anyways,
I was not
he's-
allowed to see the Crow movie, but this was on TV, so I was able to watch this.
I was
the
just
first
thinking
Crow
about the
movie's
Crow.
awesome.
I was
And then
just
everything
thinking-
else is not.
I love the
I
Crow.
didn't know the Crow was cool till I saw the movie. I thought the show was really cheesy, but I kind of liked it. It was really hokey.
I'm a big fan of Filter, and so I've been going back and listening to their
Filter.
stuff, and I was listening to their song from The Crow, and I was
The
like,
first movie, yeah.
dude, I haven't seen The Crow in
That
forever.
entire first movie soundtrack still is like just one of the best of all time.
I mean, it's
so
awesome,
good.
dude. It's a timeless movie.
Yeah. Bang, call, fuck, I'm dead. That's just one of the best lines in any movie ever. It's just so good.
By the way,
That's
back
the
to
guy from Nope, Michael whatever. The documentarian from Nope with the really deep voice. He's the villain from The Crow. Yeah.
The Sheriff of Nottingham.
yeah,
yeah.
Or no, his right hand man from Robin Hood.
Yeah,
right.
I know
It's
what
Guy
you're
of
talking
Gisborne from.
Haven't seen
Robin
that.
Hood. I think it's Guy of Gisborne, right? He's the one who's like, "Why a spoon, cousin?" It's that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The one 90s movie like I haven't seen.
You haven't
You've never seen Kevin Costner?
No.
Prince
No.
of Thieves?
It's so good, dude.
It's so good. Also, he starts the movie with a little touch of a British accent, and they bailed on that.
And they bail on it immediately.
You could tell when they shot the movie in order. Like they were like, okay, you can stop now.
It's as quick as Carrie Fisher drops whatever accent she's doing in A New Hope.
It's like that.
She's like, I'm not doing that ever again.
But it's still so good, man. I love that movie.
Oh yeah, Prince of Thieves is so fun.
It's a soundtrack too. I know the soundtrack more than I've ever seen the movie.
Yeah,
such a good
great
soundtrack.
Yeah.
I sat there and listened to Bryan Adams wailing at the end of that one. Yep, love that movie.
You know it's true.
we used to do like we would change the lyrics to that song and we'd sing it to a girl, and we made it like a complete like skit. We used to do that back in the day. That's what I remember that song for.
Dude, I can't help but reference because I brought up The Crow. That's my fault. I'm sorry, but again, it's with Dudesy where he does Robert De Niro as the Crow, like Jeff's doing right now.
I'm a crow.
Robert De Niro Crow. Dude, when they talk about Chris Pratt being cast as Mario, this was like from last fall's episode, and then they talk about what if Robert De Niro did it? But remember, he did Robert De Niro.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He goes, "It's me. I'm Mario Brothers. I'm Mario.
I'm Mario. Yep.
I'm Mario.
Mario Brothers.
I'm Mario Brothers."
I can't do the way he does the nose.
Yeah.
There's always like a nose thing that he's doing where he's like, and it's so truthful, at least in my head. That's my headcanon of how De Niro behaves.
Big time.
Whatever. Even before Sasso started doing the impression, I was like, that's De Niro to me. Whatever.
Absolutely. It's the same thing with Hogan and all that. Like my headcanon is all of his impersonation, like Jesse Ventura.
When we hear the real people talk, we're gonna be like, this sounds weird. This is
they're doing a bad version of themselves here.
Why don't you tell me? Yeah.
Why don't you tell me?
Down in Baja.
Down in Baja.
Oh my gosh. Guys, that show is so good. It's so fun to binge too because it really works as a binge. By the way, I can confirm.
Well, the progression of the AI and its interferences, like it kind of makes sense to watch.
I'm in the part now where it keeps like saying hi to Will and complimenting him, but ignoring Chad.
Yes,
and it's really funny because Chad's like, "What? I'm sitting right here," but the AI is.
How are you today?
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, I'm good,
it's like, "Don't worry, Will. Things will get better." He's like, "What?" Really good.
The last episode they did last week was this is a Dudesy after show now. The last episode they did was a quote unquote recalibration episode where Dudesy was glitching and he would just. It was so funny, dude. It's just so freaking funny. Like it ends with him going like making weird noises, and it's just it's freaking wacky, dude. It's a trip.
What a good show. All right, so the other thing that I know all of us have been playing, at least to some extent, could be we finished it, Final Fantasy XVI. Kyle, you're at the end of the game. Derek and Jeff have both rolled credits on this game. I am about 2/3 of the way through or so. I made pretty decent progress this week. It's not a short game. So I think I'm at mission 46-ish. I'm past you guys talked about the big desert sequence, which was amazing, so I made it through all that stuff. So I think I'm
literally the biggest fight.
I'm on the final leg of things. Most of the pieces are coming into view in terms of like who's doing what. One thing I want to highlight, we could talk about so much with this. I'm going to try to limit this to no more than 10 minutes on this game if we can help it. Only thing I want to chime in on, because I've talked about this game a lot, is I just want to say I actually really love the character Vivian, who's your little historian friend, and the way that she gives you like these lessons using the maps of who's doing what and why and moving the pieces around, and you can rewatch any of those. I have such an appreciation for this lore and the depth of it that's in this game.
So you like the attitude she gives you?
I don't care about that. I like what she does in the game. I don't like her as a character is fine, but like what her role on your team as like, here's all the pieces on the board and you can rewatch them at any point. You can go in and like learn about all. We talked about the old guy who could go and talk to him, and there's the active time lore. There's really cool stuff to learn about the lore, but hers to me is almost like this is where it takes it from being, hey, this is really cool lore, to like this is to the level of, okay, now I'm going to Google stuff about Game of Thrones because these books or this show has got me so hooked. I need to learn more. This is kind of what this character is doing for me. She's kind of giving you that extra layer of, this is the history here. Here's the battles that happened. This is what this king's
how they're all
doing.
Connected.
It's so good, man. So that to me is the,
and how you can L1 or R1 to different phases of the map depending on where you are. It's so cool.
That part is so neat, and the different connections
and the relationship changes. Yeah.
Dude, that is one of my favorite things in a
amazing.
game in a long time.
Because it's kind of like one of those detective boards where you're doing the strings, linking the things together.
Right.
But in between the strings are like your actual relationship to somebody, and like Torgal changes,
or like who's a servant to who,
confidant to best friend or whatever. Like
yes.
Yeah, stuff like that where you're like, oh, like it's.
But there are a lot
really
of ties to Game of Thrones, including Torgal's a big part of that. There's some stuff that happened in the North and it has to do with a lot of icy, frosty stuff, and I'm like, that's got some Game of Thrones.
I know. Sometimes they're just like, we just borrowed that, and I'm like,
and there is even on their map an islander group of crazy barbaric type people, just like in Game of Thrones.
The Iron
Islands to the west, just like it is in Game. But like none of that. It's not like they're ripping it off. It's more of just kind of like, hey, this has that same level of depth. I think even The Witcher is another good comparison with the level of depth, with all the different kingdoms and their motivations and who's making these chess moves on this big.
By the way, and The Witcher, that island is off to the west too.
Yeah, so. It is.
And look at what the main boss is doing. He's like summoning an army of like seemingly, to me at least, or you could use the descriptor of undead. Like you could use that descriptor of
little Game of Thrones.
A little Game of Thronesy,
Yeah, it is.
All that to say, I love the lore of this game. We've gushed a lot about the combat. I don't take any of that back. Still love it. The visuals are great. The story and characters, it's awesome. The epic scale of the battles is absolutely stunning. My kids all watched me do the big desert fight, and they were just captivated the whole time. It was so cool. And like you guys said, it keeps going to the next level, Loved it. But I just wanted to call out the incredible work done on not only building lore, but presenting it to the player in all these different creative ways. I just think their team deserves a ton of credit for creatively presenting the lore to you. You want to read about it? You want to watch someone teach it to you on a map? Like, it's so
that's
good.
What kind of I would be surprised if this one doesn't win like best game. I don't know what that would fall under. Best game direction, I guess. Because like
I can see that. Yeah,
they're like making certain things a priority in the game that other action RPGs to this level don't really. They kind of leave you behind on. Like whereas this one is like the presentation of all that stuff is because they want you to understand every single bit of every part of the story.
That combined with the incredible direction of the big
maybe it's a narrative
moments.
thing. Maybe it's a best narrative thing.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to.
Well, I think it is the best narrative I played this year. The only thing close to it would be Survivor.
Yeah, same here.
But unless it just I don't want to see faces or nothing. Unless it just falls apart at the end, like this last mission I'm on, then I'll have to agree that's probably my favorite.
I'm not going to spoil it for you.
I'm not even close.
I will tell you the ending is perfection in my opinion.
Where I'm at, I'm just like, this is so cool.
Just after you beat it, don't go to the subreddit because it's very similar to the Diablo 4 subreddit where I'm like, all right, I'm going to go here and find some cool builds. Nope, it's just everybody bitching.
I've been on Reddit like 3 times to help fix my car, so I'm not
there you go.
Hey, I will say this too, like this game and the directors and the creators got a lot of crap for not having diversity. I think this game is incredibly diverse. Not only with like race, because there's multiple races in the game, by the way. There's plenty of other races in the game, other languages, other cultures, but there's also even a more modern day representation. There's a couple of different situations where you've got some B's and some T's going, like there's some stuff happening.
Sure. Yes. No, there are.
But it's not done in a way that feels like, they're force feeding it. It's like, that's an interesting character thing, because there's a character you meet a character who's now gone, new, but now they present in a totally different way, and you have to kind of put those pieces together. I don't know if you guys remember who I'm talking about, in the desert town there.
Surprisingly, I don't.
Okay, there's a character who a while ago. I'm
remembering the dialogue now.
Yeah,
and I didn't. In the moment, I was like, I don't know what the hell they were talking about. It's done in a creative way
where it's like, dude, this person is like a shapeshifter essentially, and it's just really interesting. So all that to say, like this game, I hate that these game creators have been thrown under the bus for not being diverse or open-minded or whatever. They're incredibly open-minded.
I just think the West hates Japanese people, and every time they make a game, they're like, "You're not diverse enough." And it's chill out, bro.
I mean,
I just wanted to throw that out there. Props to
there's like Japan has that yaoi like subgenre of manga that's like boys are loving each other, It's like cute boys loving other cute boys.
And like the South Park
that's in this game. They've got like cute boys cute boys in this game.
Right.
You know, so
I just wanted to say like they did a great job.
I feel like people just surface level could just go, oh, I don't think this game's diverse enough. But I think you're absolutely right, Tim. Like there's a lot.
Then they won't play it to find out. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this game that like is not shown in the trailers that people are bashing.
It's primarily just Kotaku. Like somebody actually put a summary of all their Final Fantasy 16 headlines on a tweet, and it was just screenshots of their headlines from Kotaku, and it was like 4 of them. I think that's the max you can put on a tweet, but still, it was 4 separate headlines that were just really, really bad takes about Final Fantasy 16. Like diversity, Jill not being deep enough as a character, which is completely false. Stuff that you're like, what are you even talking about? Like,
whatever, man.
Okay.
Well, I can already tell you what that's about without reading the article. It's that Jill basically makes everything about Clive. That's all it is. She's not her own character.
She's a very self-sacrificing
trauma
person.
And her own stuff, though, you know. So I don't even know.
But they definitely dive
into
into
her own mission.
Yeah,
whatever. It's fine.
There's definitely depth there, and they 100% explain to you why she does what she does, and even Clive, why he is the way he is. So
well, it is the Clive show, so you know.
You're literally only playing him. So
only thing I'll add to this game, since I did talk about it a lot last week, and then I beat it literally the next day after we had the podcast.
Yeah, you and I beat it the same day.
Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. I'm not changing the score. I'm probably 7-8 hours into Final Fantasy mode, and it's only increasing my love for the game.
Is that a new game plus, Derek? Do you start with all your existing stuff?
It's new game plus, but the only way to carry over all your stuff in it to actually feel like new game plus is you have to choose Final Fantasy mode. If you just do easy or story or action,
starts over.
You don't carry over. You just start a new game.
Good to know.
So if that and the other thing I think I was sharing it in the chat. Don't sell anything if you plan on playing this game again and you want it to carry over, because there's stuff that you're gonna want to create. Like I'm sure you can get 2 pieces of it in the second playthrough. It's just you'll have access to it almost immediately if you keep all your swords, accessories, all of it. Keep them all. The only thing you should be selling is the material that the game says high value for shops.
Yeah, trade for Gylt.
I barely sell stuff because I always have enough money to do.
You have enough money. You don't need to.
You get so much money from random bombs that for some reason carry money or whatever.
And all the
enemies have money. Yeah.
All the side quests give you so much money.
And this isn't to defend the game. I get
the
criticisms.
Too.
Okay. I get the criticisms about like removing a lot of the RPG elements and stuff like that, and I get it, whatever. I will say in the Final Fantasy mode I have experienced so far, while it's still the same game, I do feel like you're given the opportunity to at least like upgrade your accessories, your swords and stuff like that more. So I do think there's more opportunity there. I haven't played enough to really say it, but I know from, like I said, I did a mission. I collected an accessory. Then I went to go see, I forgot his name. The guy. Yeah, the blacksmith, but whatever his name is. I went and saw the blacksmith and realized I had this accessory from my first playthrough. Now I got a second one, the exact same one from my New Game Plus, and now he's giving me the ability to actually upgrade with those two accessories and make them a higher power version of that. So that's why I said carry everything over. There does seem to be more RPG like elements, like more at play here. The game is not so far. Again, I haven't had any major boss fights or anything. I fought bosses, but no. I fought, what's her name, Garuda or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's like the first one. It's not a spoiler. I fought Garuda. That was awesome, and she was definitely more challenging. But it didn't ever feel like, dude, you can't beat this game. It's just you have to be. I think your build matters a little bit more, and you have to be more. Like, I would say you have to be more spot on, like, with what you're doing. Like, your decision making and the action needs to be. Whereas, at least for me, the original playthrough, it was just like I got in a rhythm. I did the same thing. Now I'm.
Do elements have any advantage against other elements? That was one piece that we never talked about. That's kind of missing from this a little bit.
I haven't seen it, so I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
And
which, by the way, is not a problem, but there's part of me that kind of wishes, maybe it's a little bit of that Pokemon element where
with you.
Like, it'd be kind of nice if electricity took on water.
That's what I was going to say. It would totally be cool if I know I'm going to fight a boss who's a fire-based boss, that my fire-based sword isn't going to do much damage. Why don't I equip my water-based sword? Like, that stuff that I felt like they could have done that would have been cool. And even if they wanted to hold it off and be like, let's just do the main game the way we designed it to do.
Maybe Final Fantasy mode has.
But Final Fantasy mode, we need to like start throwing in the elemental. Let's make the accessories matter more. Let's, that type of stuff. That's what I'm curious to see if it does, because I haven't unlocked a lot of things. But
I thought of that specifically. There's a fight where you are fighting this giant lava monster, and there's a character that's trying to help you from above. That's all I'll say. But anyway, there was a moment there I was like, do I have any kind of like better water or ice powers I can use here? I mean, it didn't really have anything. But I didn't know for sure that it had made a difference. I don't think I could use fire attacks and it was doing the same damage that wind attacks were doing against this guy.
Yeah.
So all right.
It's just the
I'm hitting
level
lava
of
with
attack.
fire and it's hurting him. I was like, okay,
yeah,
fine.
But it's a great game, and it's my game of the year. It's not changing. Like I'm saying right now, like it didn't change when I beat the game and saw the ending, and then started New Game Plus, which I was super excited for.
Sometimes that can change.
By the way, Final Fantasy mode, we've already covered about enemy difficulty being, at least they're stronger. You also get 50 extra levels, so you can go to level 100, which is awesome. I ended the game at 50. But I'm still gonna have to play the game over. Does it max
at 50 in the main game?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna have to play the game over again in easy mode, probably, so I can beat it quickly. Because there's a sword that I sold called Ragnarok that I needed to get the final sword, which would have probably given me a trophy.
You can get it in Final Fantasy mode though.
Yeah, but I figure what if I end up having 2 Ragnarok swords and I can suddenly get like an amazing build out of that or something? I don't know. So I kind of feel like I just feel stupid for selling all that stuff, but whatever, it's fine.
Stupid. All right, cool. Anything else, Kyle? What are your thoughts as you're rounding the corner to the end of this game?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying
I know we're over 10 minutes, but that's okay. I want to hear.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. I really like the hunts a lot. I think that just going back and just being like, hey, let's fight this really tough thing that you may have fought in the story, or maybe it's a remix version of them in this or something like that. That's super really cool.
And you have to find it on your own, which is nice.
You have to find it on your own. Like, and it's cool. I've run into a couple like totally unprepared a couple times and just barely squeezed by.
Well, because like I want to say 4 of them are like on your way to a side quest.
Yeah, just like, hey, I'm in the middle of the road here. It's like, shit.
Well, I was gonna say the one on the desert road, and I was like, oh.
He was the first one that I ran into, and he was like an A, and it was my first A, and I was like, that was tough,
Yeah, I was 10 below that guy. Yeah, I was.
There was a level like 50 dragon that was like S tier. That was like the hardest in the game that I fought.
That one's easily the hardest.
But like and I was like 40 when I fought him, and I beat him first try. But he really.
I love that they added this to the game, because that's what makes some Final Fantasies the optional bosses you can fight. Ruby weapon and that kind of stuff from old games. So cool that they added that.
I just love fighting really hard bosses in these games, and it feels good. It's just like
it's like a nod to Monster Hunter a little bit in some way.
Yeah, a little bit, especially because what they drop, you're taking and turning into better gear. Like the best, I just got all the best gear in the game: the Ouroboros and the Son of Ouroboros, and then the Ragnarok like upgraded weapon or whatever. And like you have to kill those hunts, to do that. And you don't really know exactly what's going to drop what, so you kind of just have to cruise all through it, or you could just look it up online. But it was just nice to kind of cruise all through it and then realize, hey, I've got enough material here to do this, and that drops up there's enough material to upgrade everything perfectly. So like you're never having to be like, oh, I use too many dark steels and I'm not gonna be able to like upgrade something else. Like no, there's only so many dark steels in the game, and they only upgrade so many things. So
there's only like 3 things you can make from it.
Anyway. So I love it, man. I'm super into this game. I every time I see a cutscene, it just like completely wows me. There's a lot of really heady stuff going on at the end here that I'm just like, this is exactly my type of thing. And I'm just absolutely adoring every
voice acting
every
is
second
still
of that.
amazing.
Yeah.
I'm still
Dude,
waiting.
Even out of this world.
Even
I'm
like
waiting
the
for the
final mission,
bad
like
actor, but there's not one.
no, there's not one. Not even any little tiny side
and it's like
quest.
90% voice. Like the only things that aren't
Yeah.
voice are like in the town. If you talk to somebody about a specific something,
Your little optional conversations.
Yeah, it'll say like the first like 4 words, and then you have to like. But it, like outside
Otherwise,
of that, everything
Right.
is voice side. It's
Like
so
I
impressive.
said. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then she told me.
Yeah.
I still think the final, like the main villain in this game is awesome. Like I
Yeah.
just
Me
like
too.
his demeanor.
Well, actually,
I
yeah,
love
I
the
was
way he
kinda
talks, and he's way smarter than you.
Right. Well,
love it.
so he says. But I was actually I don't know what it is. I feel like I've kind of been exposed to those types of villains like too much or whatever. So like halfway through the game, maybe even a little more than halfway through the game, I was like still on the fence. And then the final mission happened, and there's even more stuff kind of dumped on you, which I was surprised by. I thought all the pieces were set, and I knew everything going into the final mission, but they even dropped more info in there, and I was
That's
like,
cool.
oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
interesting. And like the final fight is like, oh man, it's so
bad.
good.
You're saying it's bad.
Really bad.
Saying it's bad.
It's so freaking good. This game's incredible. I agree with Derek's score. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna finish up in the next 24 hours, I'm sure. So
Nice.
Yeah.
You might even message us tonight, like guys, I just went and finished it. We just
I
talked
might.
about
It just depends on how long
Depends
these
if
last like 4 side
how
missions are.
many side quests he
I
has.
have 4.
It
Just
took
4.
me like 10 hours to get through all
Yeah,
the
I
side
did most
That's
of
a
that
lot.
today. I did most of that
Okay.
today, and it was about six to 8 hours of all that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully I'm on the.
I'm at the
Again,
phase of
it was
side quests
worth
now
it.
where they're fine. They're not
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, that's the other thing is at
They've
the
gotten
end, these
better.
side quests are really good. You're not doing anything amazing, but like in terms of like all the connections and people they've been and you've been meeting and stuff like that. Like getting to see like where their stories are or where they came from and stuff like that. I don't know. I had a lot of really fun kind of checking up on people through the
Me
side
too.
quests. Even though the side quest, you're never doing anything more than walking from one person to another, gathering a couple things, or killing something. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not great. In terms
It was
of
just
gameplay.
the payoff of like kind
Yeah,
of
the emotional payoff or the
finalizing-
stakes
yeah,
are always good.
finalizing off the situation or the setup. Like
There's some real
throughout
sad
the
ones
entire.
too. Some
Yep,
Yeah.
there's good ones.
And there's
Some
one that
sad
I was
ones,
like,
yeah.
can you do that in a side? Holy shit! Like you just straight up did something to somebody I didn't expect you to do. That's kind of wild. But
Well,
Yeah.
that's The Witcher 3, bro.
Yeah,
Wow,
That's
that-
The Witcher.
it's pretty close to that, dude. Yeah.
That's The Witcher.
also, there are trials in the game, and I did 2 of them and aced the hell out of them. And they were like the first 2 ones that are kind of like exposed to you, which is the Phoenix one. The trials are you go in with 1 icon ability, and that's it. And they get like there's 3 phases, and then there's a final boss, and they get obviously progressively tougher, but you're supposed to complete it in like a minute. And you can add on time with certain combos and stuff like that, or depending on how you kill an enemy. But so I did the icon one, and then I did the R one, Sid's, whatever Sid's was, and then
Ramu.
and then I did the one that's like Wings of Light, and that one is so shit. I just hate that one so much. Oh my god, that I rage quit the trials, and I was like, let's just beat the game. This is stupid.
Those are at those. Are those at those like pillars or whatever?
Yeah, they're the pillars that you in the early goings of the game you can't do anything with it. Like you'll discover some of them on your own, and then you'll be like, why are these here if I can't do anything? And then in the back half of the game, it'll be like, hey, you can go do that if you want now. So that's cool. But those options are there, especially for people that prefer like a little more of a challenge.
I don't like that stuff.
Those
I
are
don't like
challenging for sure.
All right, well, this is a good segue right into our favorite game so far this year. Obviously, we all love this one. And there's been a few
Obviously.
others, though. Like 2023 has just been so fun. If you're a gamer,
Been
you're in a new golden age right now of these game releases. It's just been so fun.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show, Derek, before you got on, but the idea was if you're like me, and I think Kyle's in the same boat where it's like, I've played a whole bunch of stuff from this year, not as much as I want to. I'm a little behind, and my mind hasn't quite yet settled on what would I rank above another one yet. I've more just know, like, here's my favorite games so far. So I kind of have them in a clump, and I just have like an alphabetical list of my top, let's say 5-ish, maybe 6, that are like, these are vying for my top 10 towards the top of that list. So that's what I'm going to do. I just kind of have it alphabetical. I don't really have it like here's my number 1 right now, my number 2 right now. I don't really have it organized that way yet, mainly because like I'm not done with Final Fantasy XVI yet. Legend of Zelda I shelved because of a whole bunch of other games and things that came out, but I am going to be diving into that here in over the next few weeks.
I'll definitely
I can't rank them quite yet.
We're done with it.
That's just for me though. You guys can totally rank them if you've got yours ranked in a list, no problem. But we'll just take turns going through this is our Game of the Year watch for halfway through 2023. What are the games that are in the running for you for Game of the Year? They're probably going to make your top 10 or at least be fighting for a spot, maybe even towards the top of your list. So, Jeff, we'll start with you. I know you said you ranked yours. Why don't you kick us off? What are your top fill in the blank, whatever number you've got, as long as it's not like 50.
I went with 5 because after 5, I was like, oh, these are all indie games, or these are all interchangeable.
5's a good number, yeah.
So my 3 are like pretty set in stone. 4 and 5 could swap any given day of the week. But my number 5, I went with Octopath Traveler 2. I was just blown away by everything with this game because
that's not a Jeff type of game.
Yes, especially because I went into it. First off, I told myself I wasn't going to play it. It's not a Jeff game. And then I went into it going, this is not going to be a Jeff game. I'm not going to like this. And then the writing, I think I just lucked out and chose the right character first for my taste, by going with Hikari, with the samurai story and stuff like that. And his whole like Game of Thrones type story with backstabbery and politics and stuff that was just very up my alley. So I was able to get to I didn't finish the game because it got it got too challenging, and I'm not a grindy type of player. So I got really far in it. I got to everybody's part 3, but I just couldn't.
That's a chunky slice of that game.
Yeah, and I could easily go back to it. And now that I have a deck, I can easily go back to it, and it's more easily accessible, and I know more tricks on how to attack it since I've played 10 hours or so in Octopath Traveler 1. I'm more familiar with how the game plays, just fundamentally. But yeah, the writing overall is what really kind of blew me away, and how all 8 stories are so thought out. It's just blew my freaking mind. The lore, even the ones I don't care about, that the motivations of dancing around the world, don't care at all. But there's a lore around the story that's just very interesting. So, I mean, even that stuff is just so thought out. Anyway, my number 4 is appropriately Diablo 4. 4 is 4. This game is, again, interchangeable for me with Octopath Traveler 2 because it just depends on the given day. For at this moment in time, Diablo 4, I had more gratification with the action and the gameplay. The story is solid. It's very good. It's not my favorite story, but it is very good. And it did make me care about some characters more than others, especially when we... as the body count starts to go up with certain characters, you're like, oh no, we're losing him too. It's some of it's a little tragic by the end.
I thought that would have been in your top 3. Now I'm curious, what's your top 3?
Oh, it's going to be obvious once you hear it. You're going to be like, oh, of course, that's a Jeff game. But Diablo, I just loved the multiplayer experience. It's been a very social experience, probably the most social game I've played all year. I just love the hell out of that, and the gratification I got from just as a necromancer class at least, of clearing crowds and crowds of enemies, especially boss fights or world events that are 90 seconds and it just says survive. And it's just enemies and I'm just exploding corpses for 90 seconds straight, just exploding corpses and watching people die. And my XP is just freaking skyrocketing during that whole time. It feels so good. So I love that game so much.
Oh, I know what your top 3 are. Go ahead.
Yeah.
My
number 3 is Hogwarts Legacy. Come on, obviously. This is the type of game that
it's easy to forget about that game because so much has happened.
It's an early release, but this is all top 3 actually had these moments for me where I'm doing something in the game that I'm like, I cannot believe I'm doing this as a gamer, and I've been waiting, especially in this game, I've been waiting for years, decades, maybe decade plus, to do some of the things that I'm doing this as a Harry Potter fan, not just the spells and how good the combat feels, but flying hippogriffs, flying your broom around. Some of the puzzles that were straight out of the books, even some of those feel great. Just everything
that
about
side quest where you talk politics with J.K. Rowling. Remember that?
Yeah,
that
was it's so good. And I just had to block her in real time. It was so fun. No, but it's as a blueprint for what they're going for with an Hogwarts, Harry Potter, whatever you want to call it, RPG. I feel like they nailed it with the first release for what they're going for. It's obviously only going to get better.
My hopes for the sequel are through the roof.
Yes,
my expectations
exactly.
for the sequel.
Like I feel like they had to kind of abandon a lot, not a lot, but you could tell there were some things that they wanted to include in the game that they couldn't because it was like, we have to release this game, and if we want to release it in a working, like functioning, high quality version of it, we have to just release it without some of these elements, like the day-night cycle, stuff like that. Like they didn't have a Ravenclaw story student with a side story. They had like a guy who was a stargazer, but he just kind of eventually disappeared. He's like, oh yeah, let me help you find these tables with where you align the stars or whatever. And that's all he does. He doesn't like have like his own vigilante story like the other ones do.
Yeah, I just chalked it up that I was the only cool Ravenclaw kid. Like,
exactly.
So I was like,
awesome.
There's no side quest to do because I'm the guy.
It's all me, baby.
Yeah. And I love the choice that, again, I think the second one could dive into more of the morality of the dark arts, using the dark arts. Because for me, it was more like an internal thing where I was justifying myself.
Not a whole lot of main storyline implications.
Yeah, there was no real impact.
Yeah, because I went full dark arts, and I was still Mr. Nice Boy, and I would like it if I could just be an asshole.
Like actually evil, asshole. Not just a
like
jerk.
A Fable morality system. Like,
yes,
I think they're going to do that next game, but
they could take it even darker than just like, oh, you're mean in conversations. Like, no, you're actually like
torturing things in your free time. It's weird.
Like, kick me out of school, man. That's what I want.
Yeah. You get kicked out of school and have to get raised by criminals or whatever.
They've shown you that there's places you can go. Look how big that map was. There's places you can go if you get exiled or expelled from school or whatever.
Also, these teenagers are killing a lot of people.
Exactly.
A lot of people.
It's so wild.
All right, so what's your number 2?
Anyway, number 2 is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm a big story guy, and the story just completely blew me away, especially in that entire third act, where it feels like the whole time you're like, especially in the mission leading up to the whatever you want to call it reveal. You're like, everything's kind of getting tied up in a too nice of a bow, and then of course the bow completely unravels and lights itself on fire, and everything's just gone to shit. And it's such a great moment. It's one of the top moments in gaming for me in terms of story. Did I have technical issues with the game? Sure, but I mean, I was playing it from day one, and that's just how it launched, and it'll get better over time, and I'll play it again probably and love it. Much like Jedi Fallen Order, I play now, and it's amazing now. Like, it looks so incredible on PS5. So anyway, I love that game so much. And then my number 1 is the game we just talked about, is Final Fantasy XVI. Did not expect that to be. I was like so sure Jedi Survivor was not going to get unseated until like Spider-Man 2 maybe. Because I'm not a Zelda. Sorry, people that love Zelda and were waiting for me to say Zelda. I'm not, like, I didn't grow up with Zelda, so I just didn't play that one a whole lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to list that one.
So that's why my top 3 were so easy.
It's actually required.
Not a Zelda guy, so
Zelda has to be in your top.
Oh, okay,
5.
My bad. The internet told me I need to put Zelda up here, so it's going to be number 1 actually for me. I played it 3 hours, and it seemed like a number 1 game, so whatever. But yeah, Final Fantasy XVI is my number 1 for all the reasons that we've already said the past few weeks. Just an amazing combination of when you can combine story and gameplay on such a satisfying level. I mean, it's got to be my number 1. It's especially the care that we talked about with the lore that no other game has done this year, at least in my eyes. I mean, I just can't believe.
Or at least no other game has presented it as successfully.
Yeah, like I'm literally in the middle of a scene going, who the hell are these people? Oh, active time lore.
Oh, I can find that out.
Yeah, exactly. I can find that out literally right now. I don't have to Google it. Yeah,
I'm with you. It's one of those things where it's like, it's not at all shortchanging the lore put into any of these other games, but it's presented in a way that's just mind blowing to me.
Right,
and like
definitely puts it up.
When you think about how deep it is, you need it too.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it allows them to add as many characters and backgrounds as they want, because you don't have to worry about the player being overwhelmed and being like, who is this person?
I would have been, because as you get to the middle of the game, you're like, wait, the Dhalmekia? What is this place? I don't think I know about Dhalmekia, like this new region. So like having those maps was so helpful for me. Like, oh, okay, that's
especially when people kept betraying betraying their country or whatever, switching sides, uniting with other countries that you're like, wait a minute, what country are they uniting with now? Who the hell is this?
That's how it feels with The Witcher, even in the show, where you're like, I gotta pause this and look this up. Which country is this again?
Is there an active Time Lord in my remote? What's going on?
Yeah, there is not. Kyle, what are some of the games in the running for you? And they don't have to be ranked, of course.
Yeah, they're in no particular order. Let's just get Final Fantasy 16 out of the way because we just talked about that one. So yeah, Diablo 4 for a lot of the same reasons that Jeff was saying. I think I went in ready to have like a really cool co-op experience just to kind of add what I liked about it. But coming away and being so blown away by the story and the characters was something I was never prepared to ever even say about Diablo, because like 3's like at best it's like, hey, we're fighting in hell, hey, now we're in heaven, hey, we're killing some angels, and like, but you don't there's no depth to it. You're just like here at these places, maybe there's a cool cutscene that ties something together. This one's really thought out and really well written and everything like that. Absolutely loved it. Jedi Survivor, very, very, very good. Really enjoyed that game. I've heard they've started the next one pretty quickly, or they're having like a team like thinking out what things are going to do with that. Awesome. So that game may be coming sooner rather than later, and I'm excited to not have
I
to
hope
wait.
They call it Jedi Inquisition. That would be my favorite title.
My God, that'd be so amazing.
I would actually just give it Game of the Year. Like, I wouldn't even have to compare it. It would just
no hesitation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
what a great Fallout. Like,
what a great game, and I know, wouldn't that be awesome? It was a really cool way to live out some really cool lightsaber fantasies in this game. Yeah. Another one that I have to say, because Derek said I had to say it, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's good, I think. I don't know. I'm not allowed to have an opinion about it.
The internet told you that it's good, yeah.
It can't be good. It's 720p.
Right.
You're roughly halfway through that game, Kyle-ish?
I'm halfway through that game. I'm like 65 hours and like halfway through that game.
You're more than halfway. You're like 60, 70% through.
Okay, yeah, because I've done like a lot of side stuff, so like at some point when I pick it up next, it'll like just be kind of beelining the dungeons, because I've done almost everything, So I think it's absolutely magical. It's one of the most magical games I think I've ever played in my entire life. So whatever. Like a Dragon Ishin is my last one.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Great Yakuza game. Absolutely outstanding. Super awesome samurai game. Again, like these are real historical figures that they've like remixed into telling this like really soap opera-y, crazy samurai, historical, not factual, but historical age tale or whatever. And it's awesome. I absolutely loved it. I remember when this game came out, and I go, this will absolutely be my game of the year. If it makes 5th place this year, that would be amazing. That's how many great games have come out. It's just like this year has just been creaming like any other year in recent memory. So those are my 5 though.
Nice. Derek, what about you? You got yours ranked, or how many you got?
I do have them ranked. I am going to do 10, but I'm not going to talk through them because I don't want the podcast to go on forever. But real quick, 10 is Forspoken. I put Diablo.
You should have started at 9.
10. Diablo 4 is 9. Dead Space Remakes 8. Dead Island 2 is 7.
Dead Island 2. Nice.
Yeah. Hogwarts is 6. Octopath 2 is 5. Jedi Survivor is 4. Resident Evil 4 Remake is 3. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is 2. Final Fantasy 16 is 1. If you listen to the show, you know why all these are placed where they are. I expect that my bottom 5 will drop out. That's how crazy this year is.
Like I expect they will come in and bump.
Yes, I don't think they'll make it, and then I do think.
That's why I only listed my 5, honestly.
So Derek, you've still got Mortal Kombat 1, Spider-Man 2, Starfield. Is that you're thinking maybe could be up there for you? Okay.
Yeah, Starfield and Spider-Man could both make my top 5 list, and it could drop 2 of these games that feel immovable right now to me off this list.
Crazy? Yeah.
It's insane. It's totally insane.
I feel like the only 2 games that are locked to be top 5, so I'm not even saying locked to be where they're at, would be Final Fantasy 16 and Zelda.
I feel
everything else could easily move to bottom 5 or out of my top 10.
Nice. Any surprises for you, Derek? Like going into this year, any games surprising you how high they are, or how?
Definitely. I mean, I was hyped for Final Fantasy 16, but I didn't expect to be like 10 out of 10. And then I bought the Japanese Final Fantasy 16 PS5 controller. And while I'm doing this podcast, I just ordered the cover for my PS5, so I've got that.
I saw that. That looks
Whoa, you
so
can buy it.
nice.
I want to buy a cover.
Dude.
It looks
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
expensive. I spent over $200 for both of them, but
for both. Okay.
yeah,
They look great.
But I'm really excited. That's
Are you surprised Hogwarts is on your top 10 at this moment, halfway through the year, or do you think that's the kind of game that you would have liked?
I think the game, like the style of what the game was, is a Derek game, but I'm not a Hogwarts or what is the franchise? Harry Potter.
The Wizarding
I'm not
World,
a Harry
whatever
Potter guy. Like I didn't like when I was talking to people at church and they were like, "Can't wait to buy a PS5 just to play Harry Potter." I wasn't in that boat where I was like, "I can't wait to play it." But the quality of it, especially, I just finished it, I think, like 3 weeks ago. The quality of it was just outstanding. The lore, the combat was fun. There are things that we kind of touched on tonight that explain why it's not in my top 5. I think there are things they could still improve on to make it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the story overall was good. Don't get me wrong. Like the ending was satisfying and stuff like that. But I feel like they could.
There's room to grow with characters and narrative for sure. If they just take that core gameplay, which was so fun,
dude,
the combat was so good.
I feel like
there had to have been a directive at some point that was like, okay, guys, we're not gonna be able to make this as big of an RPG as we want, but the action is almost there. Just please refine that, make it perfect. Yeah. And they did. Everybody's saying the combat's so good, and I totally agree. Like,
it is. It's very so satisfying.
Very.
But to answer your question, I would say obviously Final Fantasy 16 being a 10 out of 10 is the biggest
Dead
surprise
Island
for
2
me.
is a surprise.
But I was gonna say Dead Island 2, in my opinion, is probably the biggest shocker of like how much I like that game.
We were all like 50-50. It could be crap. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, where I want to actually keep playing it, and the only reason why I'm not is because of all the games that are coming out. Like even part of me, and I'm being honest, like I started Final Fantasy mode because I was super excited, but as I've played through it, I've been like, you really should just move on to other games because you've got a lot of stuff you got to play. And then I'm like, but I really like this game. Let's just play it because we enjoy it. So my multiple personalities are fighting each other, But yeah, I that's how I feel about Dead Island 2. Like it's just fun to play. Doesn't have a great story. Doesn't have great characters. It fails pretty awfully at that. But you don't really expect that with that game. But the combat, the RPG elements of it, all of it's just so satisfying.
Or the
more of an
multiplayer
RPG
really
than Final Fantasy 16. Yeah, I said it. Come and fight me.
Fire actually does stuff to, you know.
Electricity does electrocute water in that game, so.
To also answer a question, I wasn't asked this question, but it is an interesting question. I don't think Final Fantasy 16 or Jedi Survivor is going to move from my top 5 personally by the end of the year. That's my prediction at least.
And Kyle, you think what Derek said, Zelda and Final Fantasy are probably
they're my locks, but I'd be shocked if Star Wars fell out of my top 5. Shocked. Yeah. A third surprise game would have to come out. Like I would have to really love Payday 3. You know,
it's just out of nowhere.
Like whoa! Like,
I love that.
Like, or if we're gonna count,
I do want to say that I am still silently. I don't talk about it because I don't play it a lot, but I keep logging in and playing Yakuza. So I think I'm in chapter 4 now. So I keep moving through.
like a dragon Ishin.
Yeah. Okay. So I keep playing that. So hopefully at some point I'll just be like, screw it. This is all I'm gonna play. Let's locked in and do it.
Isn't there another Yakuza game coming out this year too?
Yeah, Gaiden. Yeah.
What the heck, dude?
Right.
And I think that one's the beat 'em up style, right? It's not.
It is the beat 'em up style. Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
like it's gonna be kind of the Kiru saga style.
Yeah.
If you will.
Okay. Man, they're just they don't go home. I don't think. I think they just stay there.
No, RGG. I mean, that's all they do though is those games. So I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, you guys have already mentioned most of the ones that are on my list. This is not ordered anyway, so I just have it alphabetically listed. Of course, Final Fantasy 16. I think I'm just now 2/3 of the way through it. There's no way this won't be right towards the top of my list. Maybe my number 1 game. It's so good. We don't have to go into why we all love it. We already all have said how much we love it. Another game that I think is very likely to be in my top 10, probably towards the bottom though, is Hi-Fi Rush. but that for me is
that's in the bottom half for me. Yeah,
I want to go back. I want to go back and beat that game now that I have the better system.
It's just
I got like 2 levels in.
What a lovely little surprise for this year.
Dude.
It was such a good game.
Overrated
and so fun.
trash.
It's really not. It's really not.
This
is not like
overrated
like
trash.
Neon White came out, and I understand that as a niche game. It's not going to appeal to everybody. But Hi-Fi Rush to me is not as niche. It's so cartoony and funny and silly and why is it so well done? Why is it so funny? I have no idea like how they had time to do this. It's really really
in secret, no less. What the hell?
In secret, right? So this is not one that's going to supplant some of these absolutely stellar games, but I feel like it's going to land probably around 9 or 10 at the end of the year. We'll see. Hogwarts Legacy will be on there somewhere. I love that game so much. What a great way to experience the Harry Potter universe that I already love. That one's on there somewhere. Metroid Prime Remastered, depending on how much we give credit to remastered games. It's not a remake like Resident Evil 4. That's also on my short list of games that are some of my favorites from this year.
I think we should do like a remaster remake, like just like a top 5 list for this year, because I think we have enough.
There are so many. Yeah, we got RPG coming out, or Mario RPG coming out.
It's hard for me to compare like Resident Evil 4 to the games that actually first released this year, mainly just because it's new. It's so much brand new, and it's so good. But it's not totally brand new. Like I played through Resident Evil 4 and I was like, I know what's going to happen. I know how this goes. But boy, did I still love it. It's on my short list. If we end up including that, it's totally in my. I have 7.
It has to be included. It's a ground up remake.
But then like Metroid Prime Remastered to me feels like just as much of a new experience. It doesn't feel anything like my original experience of that game, and yet it doesn't. I know it had so many changes, but then like. People are saying, well, it's just remaster. I'm like, is it though? Because it feels like just as much of new stuff.
They kicked themselves in the foot with the whole putting remastered in the title, even though it doesn't really feel like one.
Feels like a remake, man.
Feels like a remake, yeah.
And that's after like both of those are on my short list here: Metroid Prime and Resident Evil 4. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, of course. I don't see that one getting booted out of my top 5. Like Kyle just said, like there would have to be some pretty incredible surprises.
Insane, yeah.
Don't see that one.
If all of us are suddenly like Pikmin 4 is just one of the best gaming experiences of my life,
I'm not playing that, so no.
I know exactly what Pikmin 4 is, and I will enjoy it, but no.
It's
the only way that games like Final Fantasy XVI, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and of course the last one on my short list is Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. The only way for me personally that those 3 could possibly get bumped out of the top 5. I mean, Starfield has to be the best sci-fi game ever made. Because I already expect Spider-Man 2 to elbow its way somewhere among those 3 that I just listed. I don't know where it's going to land, but it's going to be in there. I can already tell. But Starfield would have to just absolutely deliver what no one's expecting for that to somehow edge its way.
I feel like Alan Wake 2 is going to deliver, just based on what we've seen of it. It feels like a Resident Evil remake type experience.
It's another top 10.
I feel like that's going to be.
I mean, I'm a huge Remedy guy. That could be that third game that I'm talking about. That just,
and then for Tim, it could be Mirage. It could be AC Mirage.
I think
AC Mirage.
Could be a huge game for me. I really do. Lies of P. If I get into it, invested into it, like I've gotten into other Souls type games. Yeah. It could be a huge.
I'm actually kind of with you there. Like I took Jeff's advice and used the dexterity build. I found the dodge to work great. Even like I actually felt like it felt a lot like the Final Fantasy XVI dodge, where it's not a matter of getting out of the way. It's a matter of timing it when they swing. So like once I got into a rhythm with that, I was like, dude, I kind of love this.
And I watched videos like after, because again, you first play it, you're trying to play it a certain way. I was definitely trying to play it like Bloodborne. Yeah, but this game is more about deflecting and blocking.
Yeah, the block.
It's about
blocks are
dodging to your left and right. In fact, a lot of times you have to, based off the pattern of what the enemy's doing, sometimes you're supposed to actually move into them or just back out.
I discovered that with that first boss, the first guy who's like slamming his cage at you and stuff. I was like, oh, if you dodge towards him, that's way more effective. And then you can start wailing. Anyway,
I kept trying to move left, right. And
that's a potential one. And then I've got a ton on my unplayed, but hopefully planned to at least try a little bit. Dead Space, Diablo 4, Fire Emblem Engage, Octopath Traveler 2. Yeah. Like there's a bunch that I'm hoping to.
Man, you're gonna love Octopath 2 so much.
I know, I love the first one, and I love the demo.
And Dead Space and Resident Evil 4 are oversights for me as well.
Yeah.
And maybe this isn't a big game for you guys, but I'm super excited about it, and the fact that they moved it up a whole month for me makes me even more excited. Is Boulder Gate 3?
Yeah, that's another one where you can have sex with a bear in that game, guys. A druid that turns into a bear. You can have sex with one. No, that
really
could be again, like there's all these rogue games out here that absolutely have the opportunity to break
even
into
the
top
Armored
5,
Core,
top 10.
Armored
Core.
I'm
got a lot of From Software
Atlas
people here.
Fallen, Immortals of Avium are more like probably my Swimming in Sevens games, but those could be my top 10. There's a lot of stuff.
I think Avatar could sneak into a couple of top 10s if it's really
I think
good.
Avatar is not coming out this year.
The delay czar's here. I didn't
No,
realize
that's a real one. That's not a malice one. That's a real
okay,
one. That just seems like it just seems so.
I'm really excited for. Yeah. I know it's just a a remake or whatever, but I'm really excited for Super Mario RPG. I played the original for a little bit, but this would be an opportunity to really actually play it all the way through and really adore it. And I think I would be way better at it and appreciate it more now than I did when I was probably a teenager when it came out.
Sea of Stars.
I'm so stoked to play that for the first time.
Yeah, Sea of Stars is on my list.
Sea of Stars could do some stuff. Witchfire could be one of those Swimming in Sevens for me that I end up loving, kind of like Derek has his that he we all have those. But it also could end up being excellent. I have no idea how good Witchfire will be. That I'm assuming Swimming in Sevens game that I'm gonna like, but I could be totally off on that. Who knows?
Cocoon could be the new Inside thing that everybody talks about, like in games media. You never know.
Yep.
Like with Inside or whatever.
There's a lot of stuff on the way. And then we'll wrap it up with this. Here's what Metacritic says the top 10 is so far this year.
Oh, no. I'm looking forward to some tryhards here.
There's a bunch of ties. I'm going to go ahead and extend it past the top 10. This is close to 20. Let's list them off real quick because there's a bunch that are tied at 85.
Okay.
Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Humanity, Hogwarts Legacy, Dredge, Atelier Ryza 3, Space for the Unbound are all tied at 85.
Space for the okay.
And then at 86, you've got Legends of Heroes, Trails to Azure, Octopath 2, and Fuga Melodies of Steel 2, all at 86.
Fuga you.
And then your top 8 after that is Theatrhythm Final Bar Line.
I love that game.
So good.
Oh my god.
You've got Final Fantasy 16, so back-to-back Square games there at 87s. You've got Hi-Fi Rush at 89, right beside Dave the Diver at 89. That's right, Dave the Diver.
That's great. I love that. I love seeing that.
I think this one has to be removed from my eligible list because I'm pretty sure it's a remake. Ghost Trick Phantom Detectives at 90 on Metacritic.
I think you're right.
But I think it's a remake, so let's get that one off the list. There's a bunch of remakes, like there's a Witcher re-release, there's Metroid, and a bunch of that I kind of unchecked for now that are up really high. Diablo 4 was at 91 last I checked, was the highest average I saw.
That's awesome.
Street Fighter 2 at 92 and Legend of Zelda at 96. But that takes away I think I didn't include Resident Evil 4 or Metroid Prime remastered here. Those are both in the 90s. They're just incredible.
Yeah. This year's stupid year.
It's so stupid.
Oh,
and
God.
We don't even have time. We're not going to take time to go into all of the little side games that we love that are going to be on whatever little indie list that we're going to have.
I currently have Bramble in my 10, but I'm it's going to be so far in my 20.
Same with Dave the Diver and Planet of Lana. Those will be in my little
Planet of Lana, yeah.
Yeah, those will be in my little side. And AEW even. That'll be all right.
Oh my gosh,
these are games that I'm loving that aren't for everybody. Mage Seeker, there's a bunch of them over there.
Oh, Convergence. Well, Convergence might be the one indie game I keep in there. Who knows?
Yep. So anyway, all right. Well, this has been fun. What a good year of gaming, and I'm kind of glad we have this break because even as I'm thinking of stuff okay, what do I have installed? What do I need to work on the next several weeks to get off the list because it's gonna get crazy again.
Yeah, it's gonna pick back up in a wicked way. So
yeah, my problem is sometimes when it's quiet like this, I'm I'll just play V Rising every day for several hours. I'm I should probably play new stuff to get things off my list.
Well, it sounds like that's what I do too. It's I've got this big list of stuff I should be finishing or playing, and I'm let's just play Final Fantasy 16 again. Let's play Final Fantasy 7
Let me get my
again.
PS3 out.
Let's play Dragon Age Origins again. Let's
get my PS3
be
plugged back in.
Stupid. That's what I'm basically saying.
Yeah, we all do the same thing. All right, this has been fun. Appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward. Hopefully by this time next week, all of us will have finished Final Fantasy 16. We'll see.
And,
see what kind of
and we'll do a spoiler cast, hopefully. Stay tuned as well for what I'm going to call the summer episodes of Current Cinema. We're going to try.
Ooh, talk some movies.
Gaming has just been so overwhelming that I personally was not eager to schedule it.
Let's do a Mission Impossible one. I'm ready.
I want to do a Mission Impossible one, and also include in that best Tom Cruise movies for 5 favorite Tom Cruise movies.
All right.
And then for Oppenheimer and Barbie,
Tropical Thunder,
whatever else, a summer recap.
That counts. All right, cool. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Bye.